because for whatever reason you didn't have the time or it takes longer because of what he's recovering from. At some point, do you say, well, if you are recovering from where you're not able to prepare for the debate versus you just chose not to be prepared, then is it a logical question or a valid question to say maybe you need a bit more time then before you run for the Senate? Not that you can't, but you just need more time.
It's certainly a question on the minds of lots of voters. And my colleague, Bob Costa, was in Pennsylvania, has been there for the better part of the week. And he talked to Pennsylvania voters in the immediate aftermath of the debate, and they sort of landed in lots of different places. Some were sympathetic and said, he's working really hard. He's doing his best. I'm going to give him a pass. Some said, this deepens questions I have about his overall level of preparation. And let's remember, it was a two-person debate. Mehmet Oz, the Republican nominee, said he wants abortion decided by women, doctors, and local political officials, which the Fetterman campaign, as you might expect, instantly turned around into a TV commercial saying, is this actually what you're comfortable with, Pennsylvania voters? And we're going to find out about that in the next couple of weeks when all the votes are counted. So it's not as if Mehmet Oz was just this person who skated through the debate and didn't make any remarks that also had a political consequence to them. One thing that's also worth pointing out, by the time of that debate, the one and only debate in that Senate contest, 600,000 Pennsylvanians had already voted.
Yeah, good point. And that kind of leads me to where I wanted to go next, Major, which is how much these debates actually impact voters and people's decisions. I mean, we have this particular one in a heated race, but people don't like one candidate, are going to find the things they didn't like, and they're going to feel that way about it. And I mean, most people are kind of set in their ways, although there are people that are the undecideds. I guess they're the ones we're targeting. And then you have the same dynamic, a similar dynamic for different reasons in Georgia, where you have Herschel Walker, who in debates is flashing a ceremonial badge as if it's real, and going through all of this goofiness. Do these debates, do they really change minds at all in your mind? Are they having the impact they used to have?
So I don't think they're having the impact that they used to have. That's for sure, because there are fewer of them. And there's all sorts of political science research on this, mostly at the presidential level, not at statewide race level, but presidential level, that basically say debates change very few people's minds, tend to reinforce people's mind. And the conversation post-debate is what drives any changes in voter attitudes more so than the actual debate itself. And because there are fewer debates, candidates themselves are basically signaling they find less utility in them because you have to spend a lot of time preparing. There's one moment, there's the debate, and there's all the post stuff, and you're not really in control of any of that. You can't drive that the way you can drive a message if you're just campaigning and doing your own messaging and traveling 6 places in one day, as an example, as opposed to being closed down for 3 days in debate prep and then spending the next day after the debate responding to all the reporting after that. It takes up a lot of time. And candidates are essentially telling voters these don't matter as much because they're not participating as much. And there's a greater reluctance to even engage in the negotiations over debate. So candidates are telling voters they don't matter as much. What's interesting in this election cycle, particularly in Pennsylvania and in Georgia, is you're going to have inversions between two statewide races. In the governor's race in Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro is likely to beat the Republican nominee, Doug Mastriano, by a considerable amount, 8, maybe 9, maybe 10 points. That will not be the case in the Senate race. That's going to be close. Mehmet Oz and John Fetterman are going to be very close, much closer than the governor's race. Same thing in Georgia. There are going to be voters who support Brian Kemp as the Republican nominee for governor. He's got a 6 to 7, maybe 10-point lead over Stacey Abrams, depending on the poll. And the Herschel Walker, Raphael Warnock race, very close, within 2 or 3 points. So in both states, there are going to be people who vote for the Democratic nominee for governor and possibly the Republican nominee for Senate. Ticket splitting, which is something we haven't seen very much. And it's going to play out in those 2 battleground states in a very visible way.
Major, we've talked about the executive branch and the expanding powers of the executive branch, and also even within states, not just federal government, but also in states, the COVID emergency being the reason to enact a lot of policies that you could say are questionably related to the pandemic. Last month, President Biden said that the pandemic was over. He said it on 60 Minutes. 2 days ago, he said it's a global health emergency. Where are we with the power of politicians to levy the COVID emergency as their reason for enacting whatever policy may be on their mind?
So I think we're going to get a pretty interesting referendum on that indirectly in the midterm elections. Not everywhere, but we talk clinically and we listen to experts talk about long COVID. I think there's going to be a long political COVID that's going to be measurable after these midterm elections. Nevada is a place I would recommend people pay close attention to. The Governor Sisolak, the Democrat, is in a very tough race, in part because the memory that Nevadans have about COVID lockdowns and their effect on the heartbeat of that state's economy, which is tourism and travel. You're going to see in Florida, the governor, Ron DeSantis, and the Republican Senate nominee, Marco Rubio, win easily. In 2018, the last time there was a governor and Senate race, both Republican candidates won by less than 1/4 of 1 percentage point. Wow. Marco Rubio is going to win by 5 or 6 easily. Ron DeSantis, 5 or 6 easily, maybe larger margins than that. And I think that's going to be another indication of this sort of long COVID backlash, this idea, even in a place like Florida, which was more permissive, still the idea, or because the Republicans there were more open about it, they got more political gain out of it. Voters are responding more positively to that, therefore larger margins of victory. I think you're going to see COVID and the backlash to what was done at the governmental level, maybe with good intent, maybe with scientific justification, still have a political answer back. And I think you're going to see it not universally, not nationwide, but certainly in Nevada, Florida, and possibly elsewhere.
So then what do you think then the shape of the government is in, or what's it going to be then? Well, what's the final outcome as far as who controls the House and Senate? We pretty much are sure that the House is going to flip. I think everybody is in consensus with that. But what about the Senate?
Yeah, so I think the question for the House is, what is the order of magnitude? What is the size of the incoming Republican majority? If it's a handful of seats, meaning 5 to 8, that creates complications for the incoming Speaker, Kevin McCarthy, because he will have to cut deals with a more aggressive, harsh Trumpian wing of the House Republican Conference, and that will not be easy for him to do. If it's a 15, 20, 25 seat majority, he can let those hard-edged Trumpian Republicans wander off and do their own things and still pass bills without them on board his coalition. So the size of that majority, whatever it is, will matter greatly to his ability to be an effective speaker. The Senate, I still think, is up for grabs. And there's been some trend lines favorable to Republicans in Wisconsin and Nevada in the last couple of weeks, but the election's not over. There's still several days left to go, and Democrats are not going to just say, well, okay, the trends are against us, we're going to lose. No, they're going to fight to the tooth and nail to the end. But you've got to keep an eye, if you're a Democrat, on the vulnerable Catherine Cortez Masto in Nevada, the incumbent Democrat running against Adam Laxalt. You got to keep a close eye on Mark Kelly in Arizona, and you've got to keep a close eye on the Pennsylvania race. I think the Georgia race is moving in Warnock's direction, but I think it's going to be 51-49 or 50-50. If everything breaks for Republicans, maybe it goes 52-48. And if it's all controlled by Republicans, meaning the House and the Senate, then President Biden has no choice but to seek bipartisan compromises and try to figure out a way to govern. And his executive powers will be under much closer legislative scrutiny than they were the previous 2 years.
Major, we always appreciate you. Thank you so much. We'll look forward to doing this again next Thursday. You have a good weekend.
You too.
You got it. Major Garrett, Chief Washington Correspondent for CBS News. He is also, by the way, the creator and the host of the Takeout Podcast. You can find that on Twitter at Takeout Podcast. Major is at Major CBS. And, of course, his book is The Big Truth, Upholding Democracy in the Age of the Big Lie. We'll tell you what's trending coming up next here on the show.
Well, it is my favorite time of the year. I love the Christmas season, and I love the Salvation Army and their Angel Tree program. I'm so excited to be partnering with the Salvation Army again this year. So you may be wondering, what is the Angel Tree program? Well, the Salvation Angel Tree helps provide Christmas gifts for thousands of children 12 and under in the greater St. Louis area each year. These are kids who otherwise might not have any gifts to open this holiday season. Last year, the Salvation Army served just over 4,000 children with the Angel Tree program. That's 4,000 kids who otherwise wouldn't have had any gifts to open under the Christmas tree on Christmas morning, and they were able to thanks to you and the Salvation Army. And you and your business can help. Here's how it works. You provide a Christmas tree. You can put it in your lobby, in your retail space, whatever it may be, and the Salvation Army will provide the ornaments. And each of those ornaments is a piece of paper with a child who needs a little help with their Christmas gifts this year. It'll have that child's list of Christmas wants and needs. Your customer, your employees, they pick an ornament, they go shopping for that child, and they make Christmas happen. To learn more, visit salarmymidland.org.
Just recently, I had a customer call me. His mom was told that her furnace was compromised. Compromised, remember that. And so he called another company for a second opinion, and then he went further and he called me for a third opinion. I have to say, I give kudos and credit to that second company that came out there. They did a thorough diagnostic, which took an hour and 20 minutes, not 10 minutes. And they found the furnace was in perfect operating order per the manufacturer's specifications and guidelines. It's in your best interest to call and get a second opinion. If you want to call me for a second opinion, third opinion, fourth opinion, it's one easy number, Missouri and Illinois. It's 314-293-2600. It's Bart Inman, 314-293-2600, or Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com.
It's simple math. Rising prices equals tighter family budgets. I'm Katie Stewart. I'm a mom and a math teacher. In Springfield, I cut grocery taxes, froze gas taxes, and delivered income tax credits for working families. I helped pass measures to crack down on price gouging by drug companies to lower healthcare costs. I'm investing in vocational training to train workers for high-paying jobs like welders and carpenters that pay $35 or more an hour. I'm Katie Stewart. My opponent, Jennifer Cordy, has said victims of rape who choose to have an abortion will regret it later. Cordy is for a total ban on choice in Illinois. I'll protect a woman's right to choose, no matter what happens in Washington. It's why Planned Parenthood supports me. I'm Katie Stewart, candidate for state representative. I'm not a politician. I follow numbers, and our community is always first. Paid for by Friends for Katie Stewart.
The show, sponsored by Straight Realty, your St. Louis area experts. Why pay more than 314-441-4444. Chris Ranji.
Wonderful bones, great eyes, and you dress really interesting.
On the show.
What is it? What's happened?
What's going on? What do you know?
What just happened?
What happened?
I need to know.
Trending now on the show.
All right, trending sponsored by Old Town Donuts in Florissant and Connellville. Amy, you just said out loud, I got my trending. Would you like to go first?
Yeah, the New York Post is trending because they have been hacked. The New York Post, their website and their Twitter has been hacked. And I mean, it's pretty bad. Apparently, they were hacked with extremist, hate-filled, racist headlines.
Oh.
And so I went to the website and I'm not sure if they froze the website. You know, I don't see... I'm looking at the first two headlines to make sure they're like, oh, Amy didn't see that. It was horrible. I just see the Kanye's Donde Academy immediately closes and latest fallout over anti-Semitic comments. So maybe they were able to take down some of the more offensive headlines. Hopefully they were able to freeze that. But yeah, they've been hacked and they're dealing with that now. And it's their social media and their website.
Well, hacking is not good.
And not
it happens.
Hateful messages. That's awful.
By the way, on the New York Post, the second they've got that Kanye story. The second story is the St. Louis shooting. So that's on the New York Post website. By the way, speaking of Kanye, he is also trending because Adidas dropped him He has that very, very popular line of shoes called Yeezys that are super expensive for shoes. And people rush to get them. They sell out very quickly. His net worth was around $2 billion.
Too, right?
Yeah, they're usually hideous. They're around his net worth was around $2 billion. It has dropped down to 400. But he is trending again because he took a camera crew to another shoe company. I guess he thinks he's going to just catch on somewhere else after all of his anti-Semitic stuff. He goes to Skechers. You know the shoe company Skechers?
Yeah, I've had some of those.
You have?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're fine shoes.
I'm sure. He goes to Skechers. They kick him out.
Well,
They
good.
kick Skechers kicked out Kanye.
I mean, like,
Well, come on.
it's not a normal circumstance, obviously.
Skechers would be happy to have anybody as
No,
A year ago,
as
no.
an endorser.
Bigot
Yeah, not somebody
Not
that's
now.
out there with.
Not this guy.
with anti-Semitic
Yeah.
language.
Yeah.
Yes.
How bad have things gone for you? You were one of the world's biggest celebrities, and you can't even get a deal with Skechers.
How bad have they gone for? How bad have you made your own situation?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
He's
That's the point.
Do you have a pair of Yeezys? You're a shoe guy.
No, I don't like most Yeezys I've seen are not.
Aren't they like Crocs?
a lot of them.
Some of
look
them are like
that.
really hideous.
A lot of them look like Crocs. Yes,
Like pointy Crocs or
just
Crocs that got melted?
fancy looking Crocs that are way too
But
expensive. Yeah,
You
Look,
have to
look.
think about Kanye's person. I'm sorry, it's Ye. You have to think, you know
Oh.
what? It's Kanye.
Yeah.
I'm not going to keep, look, I know people like to change their name over and over again. Puff Daddy did it. You get one
Puffy.
name change, that's it. I'm not doing this a million times. You get to change your name once as a celebrity. So, you're Giancarlo Stanton now. You can't go back to being Mike. You can't go back to being anything else. You're Giancarlo forever. I have seen those shoes and I've thought, okay, I felt like there was one pair that was pretty good, but most of them are just absolutely hideous. And to understand Ye's personality, he's Kanye, his personality, he attempts to be as outrageous and sometimes ugly as possible just to see how far he can take it. And that's what I think the shoe designs are. They're like, let's see how loud and stupid these shoes can look.
Yeah.
And people still buy them.
Yeah.
I think that's what his intent is, and he's proven himself to be.
Isn't it?
We found the line on Kanye, by the way.
Yeah,
we found it.
He blanked around and
That
found
was
out.
the line. He was
Yeah.
looking for the line for 15 years. You found the line,
Yikes.
and he
doubt.
crossed over it.
One more quick trending. Most of the time I feel really bad for the major oil companies. Hard times
Oh, no.
really bring them down.
Yeah.
But good news, the little upstart Shell,
Oh,
Um,
how are they doing?
better.
well, hold on.
better.
Good.
Better.
Do I need to start the GoFundMe or
No. I think they're going to be okay now.
Oh, tell me how.
So third quarter last year,
Yeah, because it's been tough.
they had to get by with a meager 4.1 billion in profits a year ago in the third quarter. Thankfully ticked up a little. 9.5 billion
What?
Good for
quarter
them.
to quarter, year over year.
Oh,
And we're supposed to believe that policy is holding oil companies back?
I think,
Come on, guys.
Shell is,
Help us out a little bit. Shell.
they're the little engine that could.
Oh,
yeah.
good
Good for them.
hey, small businesses are the engine, and nothing like Shell to represent the small business.
Listen, the text line is open 314-436-7900. Tell us why it's actually good for all of us that Shell is going to buy back $4 billion worth of stock. Tell us why that's good for me, because I'm sure it is. I'm sure there's some great business reason that it's good for me
Oh.
that Shell has record profits and gas prices are through the roof.
I'm all good with
I'm
people
sure it's-
making.
yeah.
I'm all good with people making money,
Sure.
but don't be telling me that you can't do other things to help everyone else out because it's too much when you're more than doubling your year-over-year quarter profit.
Unbelievable.
The
Can't do
little gas-powered engine that could.
That's right. That's right. Hey, legal analyst Brad Young's going to join us after the news here on the show.
Hi, this is Ken.
And Laurie Heisey of Heisey Advisory Group. We're dedicated to helping individuals and families work toward their financial goals.
Join us Sundays at 9:30 a.m. for Your Retirement Highway.
Investment advisory services by individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC. Hey guys, Glover here with my very, very good friend, Dr. Kathy Maupin at BioBalanceHealth.com. If you have reached that certain age and you're just not feeling very well and nothing's working the way it used to work, go see Dr. Kathy. She is not only a medical doctor, she is a patient of this bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. It absolutely works. It's a long-term solution. She is an artist when it comes to helping you with your hormones. BioBalanceHealth.com for Dr. Kathy Maupin.
1 in 4 Americans today are living with a disability. I'm one of them. People with disabilities are extremely talented, resilient problem solvers that have so much to offer. And we've got a trusted ally on our side, an organization we can rely on, Easter Seals. Easter Seals is leading the way to full equity, inclusion, and access to healthcare, employment, and education for people with disabilities, families, and communities. That's my Easter Seals. Make it yours.
Learn more and get involved at easterseals.com.
Hey, it's Trish Gazelle for Ophthalmology Associates, the office of Dr. Greg Birdie, Dr. Ranjan Malhotra, Dr. Robert Brusati, and Dr. Andy Royer. I went there 20 years ago, over 20 years ago, for my LASIK procedure. Couldn't be happier 20 years later. They are the doctors' doctors, and that's their nickname because they have treated more than 250 doctors, more than any other practice. And Dr. Birdie and Dr. Malhotra are cornea surgeons and experts in diagnosis and treatment of diseases of the eye. Dry eye, allergy eyes, cataracts, macular degeneration, glaucoma, and LASIK surgery. Call for an appointment today. Doctors Greg Birdie, Dr. Ranjan Malhotra, Dr. Robert Brusati, and Dr. Andy Royer, 314-966-5000 or youridoc.com. They're located off Manchester Road, 12990 Manchester Road, a half mile west of 270 on eastbound Manchester Road. Again, for more information, call Ophthalmology Associates at 314-966-5000 or go to youridoc.com.
KMOX, KECK HD2, K254CR, St. Louis.
The home of the Cardinals, KMOX. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
You have more control over how much you pay in taxes when you retire than at any other time in your life. Don't miss Your Retirement Professors, Saturday afternoons at 1 on St. Louis's News Radio. KMOX.
Fun in the sun is no fun at all without sunscreen. Just like reapplying sunscreen helps continue protection against the sun, a booster shot can help enhance protection against COVID-19 after a primary series vaccination. Schedule a booster appointment when eligible. Sponsored by Pfizer and BioNTech.
Mid-America's most trusted source for news. KMOX.
At 11 o'clock, we have sunny skies and 54 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Carol Daniel. U.S. economic growth rebounded in the third quarter with an increase of 2.6%, keeping at bay worries about an imminent recession fueled by aggressive monetary policy tightening. Mark Hamrick, senior economic analyst for Bankrate.com, says forecasts still predict a rocky economy going forward.
This may well be one of the last hurrahs for a while for GDP, in that the outlook for Q4 of this year and for early next year is for something more restrained.
And slightly more Americans applied for unemployment benefits last week as the labor market remains one of the healthiest parts of an uneven U.S. economy. Climate activists targeting another classic artwork today. This time, a person tried to glue their head to Dutch master Johan Vermeer's famed Girl with a Pearl Earring at a museum in The Hague, while another person threw an unidentified liquid at it. Lauren Kamato has the story from Amsterdam.
This painting is protected by glass. It's just fine.
In an eyewitness video on Twitter, the climate activists are heard asking how people feel when something priceless is destroyed, just like the planet. The Bart's House Museum, home to Vermeer's masterpiece, confirms the painting has not been damaged. The activists in the video were wearing T-shirts with the Just Stop Oil logo, the same group that recently threw tomato soup over a Van Gogh painting in London. Lauren Kamato for CBS News, Amsterdam.
Dutch police say they arrested 3 people for damage to public property. They're conducting a further forensic investigation. Earthquake activity registered in the New Madrid seismic zone.
A magnitude 2.6 earthquake shook New Madrid County at about 10 o'clock last night. The U.S. Geological Survey says it was about 3 miles from Catron, Missouri. 5 hours before that, another earthquake happened about an hour drive south of New Madrid near Ridgely, Tennessee. USGS says that was a 2.7 quake. It was about 110 years ago. The New Madrid seismic zone had 3 major earthquakes and aftershocks. Each quake topped about 8 on the Richter scale, the highest being 8.6. Stuart McMillan, KMOX News.
A lot of parents are wondering, when should students go back to school after Monday's deadly shooting? Dr. Bart Andrews is Chief Clinical Officer with Behavioral Health Response.
Immediately. If we've learned anything about trauma, it's that we need to get back into our routine as soon as possible. The second piece of this is that we also need to make allowances to address the impact on our youth. We need to talk about it and not avoid it.
He says having plain, honest conversations about how the trauma impacted us helps people to recover. The First Mid-Bank and Trust Business Desk, Meta shares are down. That's dragging down stocks on Wall Street. Meta, the parent company of Facebook, says its third quarter growth fell far short of expectations, a drop of more than 22% overall, down 62% this year. Meta citing a slowdown in online ad spending and competition from social media platform TikTok. And global data breaches spiked in July, August, and September. We get details from KMOX virtual consumer editor Megan Lynch.
Data breaches rose 70% between the second and third quarters of the year, according to VPN company Surfshark. The Nord Security subsidiary says the U.S. is among the top 5 countries impacted. That list also includes Russia, France, and Spain. To put it in perspective, Surfshark says 14 accounts were leaked every second.
The Dow from Stifel is up 319 points at 32,158. A stalled vehicle 270 northbound before Olive Boulevard is on the right shoulder. They're working a crash 270 northbound past 44. The 2 left lanes are closed. They could be closed for about an hour. Taking a look at the KMOX forecast.
Sunshine keeping control of our weather. High pressure with us, cool temperatures. And thanks to that high, the winds are going to be light. 62 tonight. A few clouds, cold. Let's think mid-50s for any evening plans. 38 for the low. Friday, partly to mostly sunny. The winds stay light, 62. The weekend, Saturday, partly sunny. I'm going to keep the chance of a sprinkle Saturday afternoon, but I'm really not concerned about it. 65, but there will be light rain showers around Saturday night and during the day on Sunday. I'm meteorologist Dave Murray for the Voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
We have sunny skies and 54 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Carol Daniel, KMOX News.
Sponsored by Pfizer and BioNTech.
Charging a cell phone can be like getting a booster shot. A booster is given to enhance or restore protection after a primary series vaccination, which wanes over time. Schedule an appointment when you are eligible. Sponsored by Pfizer and BioNTech.
The show, sponsored by Straight Realty, your St. Louis area experts. Why pay more than 4? 314-441-4444.
11:05 on the show. Chris Raggi, Amy Mark Scores, Kevin Wheeler with you here, and happy to have Brad Young with us, KMOX legal analyst, and of course you'll hear him hosting in the evenings on At Your Service from time to time as well. He is a partner at Harris Dowell Fisher and Young, and of course we have a lot of questions regarding legal issues coming out of Monday. So we're very happy to have you with us, Brad. How you doing today?
Wheels, I'm doing great, sir. Thank you.
I wish we were talking about labor negotiations in baseball or contract law like we've done here in studio in the past. But obviously the issues pressing at us now are a bit more serious. And we're talking about today the news from the St. Louis Police Department that they had this encounter with the shooter and his family a couple of weeks ago where the family wanted the gun out of the house. The gun gets transferred to a third party, a person who is known to the family but doesn't live at the house. So can you just lay out what you know about the legalities of this? Like, what does it take for, say, police to be able to take a weapon? Can they do that? What's the basic operating principle to start with?
Well, there's a couple of things here, and I'll create several different scenarios, Kevin, and go through those. So the police showed up to the residence on October 15 from a domestic disturbance call. And at that point, if Harris has the gun, the main question from the police is going to be, are you 18 years old or older? That's the minimum age requirement to possess a firearm in the state of Missouri. And so once they determined that he was 18, the next thing they had to do was to determine whether or not he was a convicted felon, and he was not. And they had to determine whether or not he had been committed to a mental institution, which he had not. So once those checklists had been gone through by the police, there was nothing further that they could do. In other words, if they confiscated the gun, even though Harris was lawfully possessing the gun, at that point, the police would have been, in essence, stealing the firearm. So there was really nothing further that they could do once he met those requirements. And really what we're looking at here, there's something called red flag laws. 19 states in the country have red flag laws, and red flag laws are just a way that if doctors or family members or police feel that someone is unstable, they can petition the court to remove that firearm from the home. And Missouri does not have a red flag law, but this is an instance where a red flag law would have certainly been valuable.
Brad, can I ask you about what you said about the police saying he had not been committed? Because in one of the press conferences, in fact, I think it was both, it was mentioned that he had been committed, and that was actually the phrase that he used. So my question is, was he not committed? I believe he was. Or was it that police couldn't see it because he had been a minor when he was committed?
Yeah, even if the police would have ran a background check on him, Amy, it wouldn't have come up. It would not have been found in any way, because something that happens to an individual as a minor, that's going to be sealed. So even if he had been committed, he had not been committed since he reached the age of majority at 18. And so all of the searching in the world would not have come up with that evidence, even though hindsight, of course, is 2020. We can look back and say this was a very troubled youth. But at that instance, there was nothing that I can see that the police could have done.
Wow. I mean, to me, that's a big piece of knowledge, that if you have a teenager who was committed, and I'm a little confused. I thought it was multiple times. It might have been once. We know it was at least once that he was, that wouldn't come up. So then the moment that person turns 18, they are able to legally buy a firearm because that does not show up.
Right. And it is troubling in a situation like this. And that's why I think you're going to have some examination of the laws. I think you're going to have a renewed debate about red flag laws in Missouri. From my perspective, from a legal perspective, the problem with some red flag laws is that it allows the police to confiscate the gun and then have a hearing on it later. And while that may seem good from we're going to stop an event from happening perspective, everyone in the United States is entitled to due process. So you can't simply confiscate someone's property in any way. You can't go and take somebody's home, and you can't take their gun until you have due process of law. And that means having your grievance heard by a court. So while there are some legal issues that have to be resolved with red flag laws, when you look at this situation, you can see where that may have been beneficial.
So why is there then so much opposition to something that is pretty broadly supported? People who own guns, people who are Republicans, people who are Democrats support, for the most part, red flag laws. At least to an extent, there is a lot of support there. So why is it so difficult to get that done in Missouri?
Well, Chris, there's two reasons that come to my mind. First of all, you have one segment of the populace that says you cannot have any regulations on any guns of any kind. Clearly, that's not true in the United States. The Second Amendment is there, but so is the First Amendment. And there are regulations with regard to freedom of speech. There are regulations with regard to freedom of religion. If you say your religion involves you shooting up heroin every day, that's not going to fly. So there are regulations on rights, and there are regulations that can be made on Second Amendment rights. That's the first issue. The second issue is one that I just mentioned a moment ago. If some states have red flag laws that do not allow the due process to happen before the gun is confiscated, then at that point, you not only are losing out on your Second Amendment rights, you're also losing out on your 14th Amendment rights, because everyone is entitled to due process. So those are the two main obstacles to having red flag laws coast to coast.
It sounds like, though, when it comes to red flag laws, the key is that it's a well-drafted red flag law, that it's clear that there are procedural safeguards so that you can protect as much as possible your, Second Amendment rights. But you can impose a burden of proof on the person petitioning for a red flag law. You could also have a expiration date, that it's 24 hours or 48 hours, that something has to be done, a hearing has to be done. So even though it would have to be drafted well, which I would hope would be a good standard for for everything that's being drafted legislatively, but it's not impossible. Like, we can make red flag laws that respect our rights, but also keep people potentially much safer than they are now.
Exactly. Those positions are not mutually exclusive. And for example, Florida has a red flag law. Indiana has a red flag law. So and they differ greatly from red flag laws of solid blue states. But my point is that you can have a red flag law and honor both the Second Amendment and the 14th Amendment. Those things are not incompatible. That can be done. And in the aftermath of this shooting, I would expect that Missouri would start to look at this much more closely, because you can see here in hindsight how a red flag law could have been beneficial.
Brad Young is with us, KMOX legal analyst, partner at Harris Dowell Fisher and Young. We've talked a little bit, but we don't get too much into the details, Brad, because we're not in your position. You're the legal analyst. We've talked a bit about SAPA and the importance of understanding that in the investigation moving forward. There are things that can be shared, things that cannot be shared with, for example, federal investigators moving forward in this type of situation. What do we know about not the impact of that just on this story, but how that impacts or potentially impacts investigations? What can't be shared?
I guess you're talking about information regarding underage children. Is that your point?
No, I'm sorry. The Second Amendment Protection Act.
I'm sorry. You didn't.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I didn't know what you're talking about.
Sorry.
The Second Amendment Protection Act. Yes. Under that Second Amendment Protection Act, there are rules and regulations in place that are designed to make sure that individuals don't lose their Second Amendment rights. And I think that the details on that differ greatly depending on where you are.
Okay.
But the main focus is going to be that just because you're a gun owner doesn't mean that you have to divulge all of the information about you. The other focus is, and I think this is also going to be the focus moving forward with a lot of legal disputes, is going to be on regulation of ammunition. Right, because the argument goes that, well, the Second Amendment protects your right to own a firearm, but it doesn't protect your right to own ammunition. And there are a lot of courts in several other jurisdictions that have held that those two concepts are you can't bifurcate those two issues. In other words, if you have a right to have a gun, you have a right to have ammunition. Other states aren't necessarily following that theory. So you're going to have a lot of legal battles over the coming years over regulation of ammunition and clips as a way to try to cut down on access to dangerous firearms.
I think what concerns me so much about the Second Amendment Preservation Act is the way it impedes law enforcement from doing their duty. It puts police officers in a really difficult position in the moment, investigating a shooting, a homicide, and they have to decide, do we pass this information along to the ATF, or are we going to violate SAPA and then potentially face punitive measures ourselves? I know Poplar Bluff, the longest serving police chief in Poplar Bluff, Danny Whiteley, he said, quote, something bad's going to happen and I'm going to be the first one to say, I told you so. And there were other more conservative leaning and pro Second Amendment law enforcement members, whether it's in politician, police officers, who have said this Second Amendment Preservation Act is written so vaguely and so broadly, it really puts law enforcement in a tough position.
It does. And I came out, even though I'm a very strong supporter of the Second Amendment, Amy, I came out against the Second Amendment Preservation Act because it created hostility between local officials and federal officials. Also, it created a situation where state officials did not have to, at least in theory, have to follow federal laws when it comes to firearms. And that's simply blatantly unconstitutional. Just because a state tries to nullify a federal law, if that federal law is valid, even if it's regarding guns and gun control issues, if that federal law is valid, a state cannot simply ignore that. So I did not like the Second Amendment Preservation Act for those reasons. And you're already seeing this. You gave an example of how police officers in Poplar Bluff may be in a position where they're not going to enforce certain laws. Police officers in other jurisdictions may, because they want to follow federal law instead of state law, and it creates that inherent conflict in law enforcement. I just don't see that as being positive.
So will this be revisited?
Boy, I would not anticipate that the Second Amendment Preservation Act is going to be revisited anytime soon, because it just went into effect a year ago and a few months ago. So I don't see that being revisited, but I do see a legal focus moving forward on red flag laws in order to create at least the opportunity to stop someone who has a mental illness from doing what we saw being done this week.
Brad, you're the best. We always appreciate you. Hopefully we'll see you here at the station soon. Thanks so much.
Oh, my pleasure as always.
You got it. Brad Young, KMOX legal analyst, partner at Harris Dowell Fisher and Young. And well, a lot there that we'll definitely be sorting through in the coming weeks. It is fascinating. And I understand why we protect juvenile records and things along those lines. But it's almost like when you turn 18, it's like a magic eraser.
Yeah.
It's just gone. And if you had a problem the day before,
yeah,
it is now off when it comes. It's no longer a problem if you're trying to purchase a gun the way things are. And again, I get it. I know that, like, bigger picture, we want to protect somebody who did something wrong as a juvenile from that following them the rest of their lives if it's not a huge deal. But again, this is a gray area where you're like, it can't be the minute you have a birthday, that's no longer a relevant conversation when it comes to purchasing a high power weapon.
There should absolutely be some sort of process if you've been committed as a youth, that when you want to go buy a firearm when you're an adult, you should have to pass some tests. You should have to have multiple doctors, or at least one who says, yeah, I checked him out. He's good. I think he's passed all of his issues. And then we go from there. But it can't just be a free-for-all once the dude turns 18.
And
That's silly.
Yeah, and I just feel, too, we have to get away from this false binary that you are either pro Second Amendment or you're against it, and you eliminate any serious discussions and meaningful distinctions, meaning you can be pro red flag laws, you can be pro more restrictions on guns ownership and gun possession, the way you can acquire it, and still be very pro Second Amendment. But the way
It's
our
not
discussion,
all or nothing.
right, the way our discussions in this country often take place, it sounds like it's all or nothing. You are either zero restrictions or take them all away. That's not where America lives. We don't live in that.
Well, certainly a lot of angles to continue to follow up in the wake of Monday's shooting. This is just one of them, and who knows how much further these issues are going to be pushed, but conversations are started. Where they go is what we don't know. All right, we'll give you an update on activists being weird. We'll do that next up on the show.
For everything online, it's Odyssey.com. Download the Odyssey app and listen to The Dave Glover Show and all the news, talk, sports, and podcasts that move you. Odyssey, that's AUDACY.
Get this, 42% of baby boomers don't even know how much money they have in their nest egg. If you're not sure where you stand in terms of getting ready for retirement, you should be listening to the All Financial Hour with Steve All.
Let's sit down and talk about your questions, because I think that's the most important thing that it is out there. It's what questions do you have?
Saturday mornings at 7, right here on KMOX.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at LanceDruryLaw.com.
Hi, this is Charlie Brennan. If your home's important to you, check out my friends at Banner Construction. If you're looking for windows, you should know that Banner is a James Hardy Elite Preferred Contractor. James Hardy Fiber Cement Siding has the rich look and feel of wood. And Banner's also a platinum certified Pella window contractor. Those Pella windows are beautiful, and they come with a 30-year warranty. One of the safest investments you can make today is an exterior renovation to your home. And Banner homes have timeless beauty, striking curb appeal, and ultra-low maintenance. If you take pride in your home, trust it to the team of experts at Banner Construction. My friends at Banner have engineered their projects to go beyond the basic low-cost solutions. That's more than 25 years of experience. And now is the perfect time to plan for this important project and do what the Brennans do. Call on the experts at Banner. They're ready to help. Call 314-569-1050 or online, bannerconstruction.com.
At Neovitin, our goal is to create safe, dependable multivitamins to support your everyday nutrition when you need it most. That's why we've formulated Neovitin 50-plus multivitamins with 20 daily ingredients, including B vitamins for energy support, vitamin C for immune support, and Dr. Abicki's 4-ingredient proprietary blend that you won't find in any other multivitamins. Neovitin 50 plus multivitamins come in 2 specifically designed formulas to help support your nutritional needs. Neovitin Men's 50 plus multivitamin for men 50 and older, and Neovitin Women's 50 plus multivitamin for women 50 and older. With a 4.8 out of 5-star rating on Trustpilot, you can be sure you are getting quality nutritional support with Neovitin. Support your best life today with Neovitin 50 plus multivitamins. Available at your local Deerbergs, Schnucks, and online with our easy-to-use monthly subscriptions at neovitin.com. That's neovitin.com. neovitin.com.
Find the perfect gift at Petals Patio and Garden. New inventory of pottery from the Royal Botanic Gardens at Kew, bearing the royal crest of the London home of Queen Elizabeth's garden. Shop houseplants, boxwood balls, garden tools and ware, coffee table books, and hand-selected wines and spirits. Shop local at Petals Patio for quality and service. Nationwide shipping and complimentary gift wrapping. Petals Patio and Garden, 9757 Clayton Road in the Ladue Marketplace, near 40 in Lindbergh. Online at petalspatio.com.
Hi, I'm Amy Mark Scores. As the Salvation Army celebrates 75 years of Tree of Lights in St. Louis, we hope your business will share support for those less fortunate by displaying an angel tree this November. You provide the tree, the Salvation Army supplies the angel ornaments, each with a list of Christmas needs and wants from a child. Customers and employees choose an ornament so a child will have gifts to open this Christmas. Angel tree locations will be listed online. Visit salarmymidland.org.
News, talk, sports. The voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
All right, coming up in a few minutes, just after the news, we're going to catch up with Erin Moriarty. She's a correspondent for 48 Hours, also has a podcast series, a true crime podcast series called My Life of Crime. And season 3 is launching today. So we'll catch up with Erin Moriarty here in a few minutes. We've talked how many times already? At least 3 or 4 about activists of all kinds. I mean, some of it's the environment, some of it's been animal rights, some of it has been world hunger related issues, but activists lately gluing themselves to things and throwing food at things, and now it's mashed potatoes.
Okay. I love mashed potatoes and I love soup.
It was, tomato soup first.
Tomato soup was the Van Gogh,
Mhm.
right? And then most recently, was it last week? Or was
The
it
mashed
earlier?
potatoes?
Yeah, the
That
mashed
was this
potatoes thing.
week.
Okay, it was this week. It's been such a long week that we kind of forgotten about it.
October 23rd. Yeah.
I mean, all right. Like, I don't generally care so much about the paintings. I mean, okay, whatever. They're paintings. They're all fine, by the way, because they're either protected by glass
right.
or they have a film over them where you can just wipe them off and they're okay, right? So, like, I don't generally care about it. What I do care about is the stupidity that you use to protest. Like, it's okay to protest. It's a good, healthy thing for a society to be able to protest. But I feel like you have to choose your protests wisely. And I don't mean what you're protesting, because I think their cause has a lot of validity. But the problem with it is the things they choose to do are so stupid.
So dumb.
They're so dumb. They don't do anything for anybody.
And, last week, this is so random. Ted Cruz was on The View. Yeah, let everybody soak that in. So Ted Cruz was on The View. And while Ted Cruz was speaking, talking to Whoopi Goldberg, climate activists started chanting, "Cover climate now, cover climate now." So Whoopi said, "Ladies, excuse us. Let us do our job. We hear what you all have to say, but you got to go. You got to let us do our job." And Sunny Hostin's like, "Oh, they're accusing us of not covering climate change." And they had to pause the whole taping with Ted Cruz. But then another co-host, Alyssa Farah Griffin, made a funny joke after the interruption. She turned to Cruz and said, "They weren't even protesting you," which is kind of funny.
Right.
Because it's
Like,
Ted
I don't-
Cruz and The View, which are two things that people fear very strongly about. And they were climate change protesters.
There is absolutely nothing wrong with bringing attention to something that needs attention. I don't think there's any question about the climate, and we need to take it more seriously collectively. But I do have objections to how dumb your protests are.
So dumb.
I don't think interrupting a thing, that's not that stupid, but throwing soup and food at paintings, I don't know what that does. I don't know what the accomplishing thing there is.
And people don't have to agree with you, right? I mean, in some cases, we're going to agree with what somebody's protesting about. In other cases, not. But the sillier it is, the less serious, the less easy it is to take you seriously. Right.
Yes,
I mean, and I
yeah.
know it's hard to get attention. I really understand it's hard to get attention, but you don't want the attention being, look at that moron
Yes.
gluing themselves to the wall and throwing food, because then they're not going to listen to you.
Right.
Okay, so I have a question for you two. Is this an effective protests? Cannabis advocates are protesting Brittany Griner being stuck in this Russian prison, which is a terrible thing. And they're doing so by smoking pot outside the Russian embassy
I think that
in
one's
Washington.
awesome.
They're calling
That's
for a
pretty great.
smoke
I
out.
like that one.
They're
that
trying to
one's
get as many people as possible to smoke pot outside the Russian
that's funny.
embassy.
Like that one's funny. I'm good with that.
As long as they're not,
That's great.
as long as they're not disrupting traffic.
Yeah, don't
So-
disrupt traffic.
don't stand in the road
Look,
and keep
I'm-
people from getting where they want to go. But if you're going to be like up on the sidewalk and doing all that, that's funny.
I am always I'm going to protect your right to protest. I think it's great. Do not block traffic.
Guys, the
That's when you lose me.
FYI, the protest starts at
420. They should do it at 421 because they're lazy.
Change it to 422 maybe. Get it out there. Erin Moriarty from 48 Hours going to join us next about the newest season of her true crime podcast called My Life of Crime. That'll be after the news.
The ghosts are getting ready. Things will give you such a fright.
Hey guys, it's Glover from the DGS. Make sure you're with me Monday, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. for the 21st annual DGS Halloween show, where we will be revisiting our epic 2008 visit to the Exorcist house in Belnor.
Spend your Halloween with a Dave Glover Show, Monday only on KMOX.
After years of hearing the commercials on KMOX, I decided to finally make an appointment with Ophthalmology Associates. You know the doctors at Ophthalmology Associates, Dr. Greg Birdie, Dr. Ranjan Malhotra, Dr. Robert Busati, and Dr. Andy Royer. Well, I'd been hearing about dry eye, and I knew that I had dry eyes. Dr. Ranjan Malhotra told me that it's not just an irritating problem, it's actually irritating my eyes, and that it's so important to have dry eye addressed because it can actually scratch your cornea, cause greater damage, lead you to believe that your vision is getting worse. Turns out I don't need new glasses. I just need to address the dry eye situation. You should definitely check out Ophthalmology Associates. They are experts in the diagnosis and treatment of diseases of the eye. Call for an appointment today, 314-966-5000, or online at youridoc.com, 12990 Manchester Road, just a half mile west of 270 eastbound on Manchester. Ophthalmology Associates, youridoc.com.
At 11:30, we have sunny skies and 56 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Carol Daniel. The gun used in Monday's deadly school attack was at one time in the hands of police. Police Chief Michael Sachs says the gunman's family, concerned for his mental health, turned in a gun he had.
So what they did is they contacted us and said that he had had a firearm. I believe it could have possibly been this gun. The officers in their response handed it over to somebody else, an adult who was lawfully able to possess it. The mother at the time wanted it out of the house, so they facilitated that. This other party had it. How he acquired it after that, we don't know. That's what we're looking into. That'll involve some continued interviews.
Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney has endorsed and plans to campaign for Democratic Congresswoman Alyssa Slotkin of Michigan, backing a Democrat and first for Cheney, a harsh critic of Republican former President Donald Trump, who lost her GOP primary in Wyoming last summer. A former CIA officer who spied on Qatar's rivals to help the tiny Arab country land this year's World Cup is now under FBI scrutiny, and newly obtained documents show he offered spy services that went beyond soccer to try to influence U.S. policy. Missouri American Water alerting customers in parts of South St. Louis County it might taste earthy or metallic, trying to minimize the taste, but assure KMOX there's no health risk. The taste change being blamed on recent rain. They say it should return to normal by Sunday. There's a crash 55 southbound at Broadway. The 3 right lanes are closed and could be closed for an hour. They're cleaning up debris. 270 northbound past Gravois Road. The center lane is closed in that location. The KMOX forecast, sponsored by Metro Transit for this afternoon: sunny. Look for high of 63, clear to partly cloudy tonight, the low of 43. Friday's high, 65. Right now it's sunny and 56 degrees downtown at the Arch. Unless you're right in the middle of your number one GOAT, greatest of all time favorite thing to do, go to MetroSt.Louis.org right now to see how easy it is to get $28 off a November or December monthly Metro Pass or $12 off a weekly Metro Pass. Learn more at MetroSt.Louis.org. I'm Carol Daniel, KMOX News.
Hi, Kent Newbold for Newbold BMW. Your BMW is worth more than ever before, so don't trust your maintenance to a bunch of amateurs. Come see the factory-trained technicians at Newbold BMW in O'Fallon, Illinois, or at newboldbmw.com. You'll be sold on Newbold.
Driven by the Bomarito Automotive Group, the voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
This November 8th, be sure to finish your ballot and vote for your judges. Missouri's judicial system gives voters the final say in retaining their judges. So know your judges before you vote. Visit yourmissourijudges.org and learn about the nonpartisan judges up for retention this year. That's yourmissourijudges.org. It's up to you to help make sure we have skilled, fair, and impartial judges. Know your judges and finish the ballot proudly. Visit yourmissourijudges.org.
Paid for by the Missouri Bar, Misha Epps, Executive Director.
Your home of the Cardinals.
Arenado swings and hits it deep to left field. That ball is out of here.
The Billikens.
Jumper. Yes! Billikens win!
The Chiefs.
Touchdown! Kansas City!
We are America's sports voice, KMOX.
All right, 11:34 on the show. Chris Ronchi, Amy Mark Scores, Kevin Wheeler with you here. And happy to have Aaron Moriarty with us. Aaron, of course, is a 48 Hours correspondent and the host of a series of true crime podcasts. My Life of Crime Season 3 is out now. It's on all of the platforms where you can get your podcasts, including the Odyssey app, which, of course, is our parent company. Aaron, thank you for joining us. How's everything going today?
Oh, it's great. It's even better now that I'm with you guys. Yes.
Well,
that's what everybody says.
Yeah, we'll see if you say that at the end. At the beginning, it always feels that way.
But you have to admit, like, My Life of Crime, what's a better name for a podcast than someone like me?
And to be clear, it's not your
It's not
life
your
of
life
crime.
of crime.
I'm not committing them, but I
Not yet. Maybe that's a new plot twist for your career.
She's like, I don't want to give away anything.
yeah, that's the surprise. I admit, I confess. No. But I do talk to a lot of killers in this series. A lot of killers.
Okay. That sentence alone engenders a lot of questions. But I guess one for me is, you have been a reporter. You're following crime. You're obviously a correspondent with 48 Hours. The news can be pretty heavy. What in you says, okay, I actually want to pursue this even more and find out more stories about unsolved true crime cases?
Well, let me just first, for background, I am a lawyer. So the legal issues always fascinate me. I do a lot of wrongful convictions, and there's nothing more satisfying than you starting on a case and realize, oh my God, this person didn't do it, and maybe our stories will do something about it and change things, like the Ryan Ferguson case in Missouri. When I first started, remember that case? That's a Missouri case out of Columbia, and Ryan Ferguson was accused with another young man of murder. And after we aired our first hour, new evidence came out, and 10 years later, I have to admit, I had to stay on that story for that long. He walked out of prison. And so that is a heady experience. That's a good one. And then often victims of crime, they want people to know what happened to someone they love. They want the killer to go to prison. And so I see more of the positive than the negative. I spend a lot of time in prison. I was in the Jefferson City Correctional Center on Monday of this week, interviewing two people in prison. One who is innocent, I believe, from our reporting, and the other who is about to get out of prison on parole. But I see more the positive than the negative or the heaviness of it.
So what is it about these podcasts? And I think I have an idea of what it is. What is it about these that are so, and shows like, any of the shows on TV that are hours long, or like an hour long, and they investigate a crime that happened. Why are they so fascinating to people?
I think there's a lot of reasons. I mean, I think generations people have cared about murder mysteries. The reason why people were reading Agatha Christie in the 1940s is the reason why people are listening and watching true crime in 2022. But I also think the development of technology is so fascinating. One of the cases we're dealing with in My Life of Crime, and it's one of my favorites, is it occurred in Wisconsin.
Caught a long time ago because you didn't have a lot of the ability now to nail down facts and find things with video and DNA and things along those lines.
Well, true. And the other side of that is there were people wrongfully convicted that had there been that technology, had there been cameras on every corner, they wouldn't have been charged. So, no, you're absolutely right. But I do think people, I go on Twitter live during the show, and I'm always impressed with the ideas people have and how involved they are. And, in this day and age when people are so torn over political issues, true crime seems to transcend politics. I have a lot of conservative and a lot of, liberal listeners and viewers because they're interested in these stories. Isn't that interesting that here you have, these are tragic cases, but you don't have the anger that we have in almost every other parts of our lives.
And you said you've obviously looked at cases where people are wrongfully convicted, but you have also talked to murderers, correct?
Oh,
yeah.
You're going to hear murderers on this season. Yes.
Yeah, and that's my question. So going into that interview, what is your mindset? And then what has been unexpected in those conversations with murderers?
Well, Amy, first you have to go in so prepared. And you can talk to anybody who works with me at 48 Hours. That is, to me, a priority. I have to know the case as well as any of the attorneys in the case, and certainly the person who I'm interviewing. So that's really important. The most surprising interview I ever had was, it actually was a Missouri case. And it was a guy, we called it cold as ice. It was the oldest cold case ever. And he basically, so he had been accused of murder, and he had been convicted of that, but his sister had always accused him of rape as well, and he had never been charged with that. And then later, when charges were brought, he was acquitted. And he admitted in the interview to me that he didn't commit the murder, of which he was convicted of, but that he did do the rape.
Wow.
And he couldn't be charged because he had already been acquitted. So double jeopardy. So he admitted that. And I almost, like, when he was admitting it to me, I had to look around to make sure you could see these cameras on him. But he did. And but he knew they couldn't touch him because he had already been acquitted of it. That was shocking. I never expected that. And I had kind of suspected, even though, I talked to the prosecutor in the case, he was not guilty of the murder. I really try to stay right down the middle. I don't want to have any preconceived ideas or I don't want to believe anybody. I want to be really tough on the prosecutor and really tough on the defense. And can I just throw in something that is like my pet peeve here and why I think it's really important? I actually will say I have a bit of a defense bent, and that's not a bias. The bottom line is, if you're going to really have a presumption of innocence in this country, it's got to come from reporters. We are the ones who can't just take what the prosecutors say, as gospel, because they could be wrong. We have to question them too. And I think sometimes we don't do that. And that's what makes podcasts so interesting. Is that the listener can make those decisions for themselves as long as the person doing the interviewing is right down the middle and is not biased. You've heard true crime where people just talk about the cases and they have their opinion. You can kind of tell what I'm thinking by my tone, but I want the listener, well, you can. I want the listener to make a decision, and it may not be the same as I feel.
How often do you experience it with a prosecutor that, look, the point for them in their job is to win. And so, they take a case, they think they've gone down this path of, I know this person did it. And then they get to the point where maybe secretly, if you really ask them, or if they were being honest with themselves, they would tell you, yeah, this person probably didn't do it, but I have a job to do, right? Like, how often do you think that happens where the prosecutor is just so hell-bent on one particular suspect, they don't even try to find out if somebody else may have been responsible?
Well, I think that happens a lot, but I don't think it's that if you got them aside, they'd say, oh, I don't think they did it. What I really think is the biggest problem, and I'm seeing a change, a move away from that. But remember, I've been doing this a long time. And when I first started, I do think because we didn't have DNA then, it wasn't as common. And so they really believe they had the right person. Now, I think today they start, it's called confirmation bias. Where you start wearing these blinders and you're just so sure that you were right when you were doing the investigation that you're not listening to the other side. And I see that all the time. And in that Ryan Ferguson case, boy, I did like the judge in that case when I first met him, but he was the prosecutor and then he became a judge. Sorry. And he was not. He became so convinced he was not willing to look at the evidence that came out afterwards, just so much evidence to indicate that he got it wrong. And he just was wearing those blinders. And if you asked him today, he'd still say Ryan Ferguson did it, even though Ryan Ferguson won a case and won money. That's what I see, and that worries me.
Well, it's great to have these types of series to kind of analyze cases, and you are a great voice for them, Erin. Erin Moriarty with us. The new season, My Life of Crime, is out everywhere that you can find a podcast, including on the Odyssey app, which is our parent company. People can find out more at CBS Life of Crime on Twitter. That's the podcast page. You can find Erin on Twitter as well, at EF Moriarty. Erin, thank you so much. This has been fun. We would love to do it again sometime. Good luck on the launch. I know you'll have no problem with that. You're going to have a lot of people tuning in, and that'll include me for sure. I won't speak for everybody else, but it'll include me as well because I'm fascinated by the True Crime podcast. I'm looking forward to season 3.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed being here. Thank you.
Oh, we got you to say it at the end, too. Thank you. Not just at the beginning. Erin Moriarty with us, of course, 48 Hours news correspondent, lawyer in her own right. And these are fascinating. And I didn't remember, I didn't have off the top of my head the recollection on the Ryan Ferguson case when she first mentioned it. But it was fascinating because it was involving the murder of the sports editor at the Columbia Tribune. And a couple of guys accused. Ryan went to prison for 10 years, eventually ended up getting out, winning a lawsuit, and all of that. It's crazy. I mean, that's your biggest, that's the two of you guys, that's your greatest fear. Is going to prison for something you didn't do.
Absolutely.
Because it's always the guy that like, I don't know how to commit crime. I don't know how to do bad things. And so if I tried, I would definitely get caught. Or if someone around me did it, I would be standing there like a doofus and then I would get arrested. But
I'm a bad person, but I'm not a killer,
Yeah.
Is that on your dating profile?
Yeah, I'm a bad person. I won't kill you, though.
I'm a bad person, but I'm not a killer. I will say this. Really interesting, the presumption of innocence, how you have to reset your brain because we do operate that way legally in our country, the presumption of innocence. But man, in our daily lives, do we love a salacious rumor? And we're always going, yeah, I bet that guy did it.
Oh, really?
Well, we definitely play the game.
We play the game, yeah.
Remember, was it the one in Wisconsin?
Making a murderer.
The making a murder one.
Yeah.
Because everybody played along with that every week of that episode when it was out on Netflix. Or every episode, I shouldn't say. Weekly.
Real quick, I should amend something. I'm not a bad person. I'm just a bad guy. There's a difference.
You go. Yeah, there's definitely. We learn that every day. Chris Ranchi, Amy Bush, of course, Kevin Wheeler with you here on the show on KMOX.
To understand what makes Diamonds Direct different, you have to know our history. It goes back 70 years to a renowned diamond cutter overseas. From there came years of diamond cutting, manufacturing, and wholesaling, supplying exquisite fine diamonds to top high-end jewelers. Eventually, those same wholesalers began selling direct to you, and that started a revolution. Today, we are a global diamond powerhouse with hundreds of thousands of customers and an impeccable reputation. But our core values remain the same as always. Our diamonds are the highest quality cut by the best craftsmen. Our prices are the most compelling. Our selection is staggering, and our warranties and guarantees are unbeatable. And our entire team's only goal is to help you find the diamond of your dreams. So as the story unfolds and the revolution continues, we invite you into our home to enjoy a jewelry shopping experience unlike any other. Born in craftsmanship, rooted in quality, and thriving in passion. Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion. Online at diamondsdirect.com.
October is pizza month. There's a good argument to be made, one that I'm going to be making, that pizza should be about Halloween, right? Wrap up pizza month with Brewpub. Lots and lots of pizzas for Halloween. You got the kids. You got all kinds of hassle. You don't need the time to make anything special or do anything big. Grab yourself, 4 or 5, 6, depending on how many people you've got around. Brewpub, lots and lots of pizzas from the freezer aisle in the grocery store. Pop them in the oven, and they'll be there ready for a Halloween party or just your family in advance of trick-or-treating or just leaving them out for people to come and go. If you got people coming, I know we tend to hang out with our neighbors on Halloween, and having a little pizza around is a great idea. And with every Brewpub lots and lots of pizza, you're getting a half pound of award-winning Wisconsin mozzarella cheese, great toppings, all kinds of choices, from the most traditional pepperoni, sausage, cheese, to the ones that are a little more creative, the Hawaiian, the taco pizza, the breakfast pizza, a lot of different ways that you can go. Every one of them is fantastic. And reminder, it's still pizza month, as I mentioned. So go to KMOX.com/contest. You can find a way to win a year's supply of the Brewpub lots of matzo pizzas for yourself, as well as an oven that can sit on your counter, a pizza oven that will make those for you right there in your own kitchen. It's the Brewpub lots of matzo pizzas, perfect fit for Halloween.
Gas Appliance Service and the Fireplace and Grill Center have a huge selection of gas logs in stock to make your home warm and inviting. Don't get caught in the cold. Shop now for great prices, selection, and schedule your expert installation before long lead times of the holiday rush. See the beautiful burning displays at Gas Appliance Service near Westport, or the Fireplace and Grill Center, a quarter mile east of 141 on the south side of Manchester Road. Hurry while supplies last. Gas Appliance Service and the Fireplace and Grill Center.
This is Corey from Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling, here to tell you about an organization that is near and dear to our company and one we've been proud to sponsor, Greater St. Louis Honor Flight. Greater St. Louis Honor Flight flies World War II, Korea, and Vietnam War veterans to Washington, D.C. for free to see their memorials. Greater St. Louis Honor Flight is looking for you. If you know of a veteran, please sign them up for their honor flight. Or if you'd like to lend your support, visit gslhonorflight.org. And for all things heating and cooling, visit aircomfortservice.com. That's aircomfortservice.com.
Do you know how much of your life savings you could lose in the next market downturn? Are you okay with the stock market controlling your financial future, or would you like to have more control? Hi, I'm Ken Heisey of Heisey Advisory Group. Our team can stress test your retirement portfolio and give you the confidence to enjoy your retirement without having to worry about what the stock market is doing. Call 314-328-4400 today. That's 314-328-4400, and schedule your complimentary retirement roadmap review with our team. That's 314-328-4400. Again, 314-328-4400.
Heisey Advisory Group provides insurance services. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
If you own a house in St. Louis and you want to sell it as is, without any inspections or the need to make any repairs, call Chris Buys Homes St. Louis at 314-328-8000 or at chrisbuyshomes.louis.com and get your cash offer without any obligations, commissions, banks, or headaches. Chris buys vacant houses, inherited houses, fixer-uppers, beautiful houses, even the tenant won't pay the rent apartment. Google Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis. That's Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis, and check out the best reviews from satisfied customers. When you sell to Chris, you decide when you want to move, according to your schedule and your terms. Go to chrisbuyshomesinstlouis.com. Google Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis or call 314-328-8000. That's 314-328-8000. Call Chris and get the offer you've been waiting for. Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis.com. That's Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis.com or call 314-328-8000.
The show, sponsored by Straight Realty, your St. Louis area experts. Why pay more than 4? 314-441-4444. Amy, Chris, and Kevin.
The greatest radio talk show host ever.
Now, more of the show.
Punch back in on the show. Chris Ranji, Amy Marks, Kors, Kevin Wheeler with you here. We had an announcement this morning from St. Louis City SC that they're going to have the first match at City Park coming up on November 16th. Here to talk about that with us is Dennis Moore. He's the Chief Revenue Officer for St. Louis City SC. First of all, Dennis, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it. It's been a bit of a busy week, and obviously today's announcement, a good one that's adding a little excitement to the scene.
You're exactly right, and thanks for having me on. But very busy week, and we're just thrilled to be able to announce international friendly versus Bayer Leverkusen of the Bundesliga on November 16th. And we couldn't think of a better way to open City Park and start welcoming our supporters and fans and the community at large. So we're thrilled to be able to share the news with the community. It's been a long time coming. And definitely within our walls here, and I know for our friends at Bayer Leverkusen, we're just thrilled to be able to put this together.
Good thing, too, is a little bit of an appetizer in the lead up to the World Cup, which is getting started here in just a little bit. I know there's a ton of enthusiasm about things getting started. And I know this is just the first event. And this was, we know all about the delays and the problems that have been run to. I'm sure it's comforting to get some of those things behind you. And I know people have been just counting down to the day where they get a chance to get in there and watch a match, which they get to do here in a few weeks.
No, you're exactly right. We joke internally, going all the way back, if you remember, we were first supposed to join Major League Soccer this year.
Right.
And so really starting with that delay, we've developed some thick skin here internally, and we have certainly become very good at pivoting. And but I will tell you that with the energy, the power back on at the stadium, this is the first of many, and we're just really excited to really look a Bundesliga club of this kind and Bayer Leverkusen come in and play our City 2 squad. It's not only a big moment for Lutz Pfannenstiel, Coach Hackworth, and our players, but it's a big moment for St. Louis, we believe, and really put us on the national map and really start to establish our culture of soccer here in St. Louis.
Well, and I love that it's a Bundesliga team for the St. Louis soccer culture because, like, my dad, huge soccer fan, he grew up as a little boy watching the Bundesliga every Sunday morning. And I know that was a ritual for a lot of people growing up in St. Louis. And that's continued with, folks watching all the matches on the weekends. And so I like it. It's kind of cool that it's a Bundesliga team here.
You're exactly right. And for us, Lutz, our sporting director, Lutz Pfannenstiel, joins us from the Bundesliga. And so we certainly have a lot of German influence in our club in terms of how Lutz is building our organization on the sporting side. And it really has helped connect our city, St. Louis, as well as our club. And Lutz and I were over in Germany last week, and we actually ran into a St. Louis City season ticket holder over in Germany. And just wearing, clothes with our crest on it, and people would stop us, and they understand who we are and what we're doing. So it's a really important part of not only sporting, but just building our fan base, not only locally here, but on an international perspective as well.
We've got less than a minute here to go, maybe about 30 seconds. And the big news from this week was Centene, backing out of the naming rights. What happened there? What happens moving forward? I know there's not a whole lot of time here to answer, but wanted to give you a chance.
Centene approached us with a desire to reshape our partnership with them. And so we are going to focus that partnership moving forward on community initiatives and health and wellness. And we're excited to do that. Their relationship with us obviously does not include naming rights moving forward. So we are excited to engage the business community in that opportunity. But for what we announced this week, we certainly are excited to be City Park, and it's been very well received by our fans.
Is it fair to assume that just efforts will be ongoing to find a new partner for the naming rights? I know that's a big deal in the sporting world.
It is, and we've been very intentional about our sponsorship conversations. So it's critically important to us that we find the right brand and the right company that aligns with our mission to really create a renaissance in St. Louis and bring people downtown. And so it's really important that we find the right brand that understands that and is willing to help us in this.
Well, as of November 16th, we're past the speed bumps. You got that first match. Bayer Leverkusen coming to town to play City 2. That's going to be 7 o'clock on the 16th. Tickets are available, by the way, at SeatGeek.com. I know you unveiled all of the great food options that are going to be there and the local food options. That's going to be a big part of the event coming up on the 16th as well. Dennis, I know we didn't have a lot of time, but thank you for jumping in. We appreciate it. We'll look forward to catching up again down the line.
Great. Thank you so much.
You got it. Dennis Moore, Chief Revenue Officer for St. Louis City SC. And again, new match announced today against Bayer Leverkusen on November 16th at 7 p.m. We're actually going to dive into the Centene side of that story with Nathan Rebelke of the St. Louis Business Journal coming up next on the show.
You had a solid retirement dream, sell your home in a few years, bank the equity, downsize, and travel. But inflation and recession has you wondering if all your hard-earned equity will still be there. What if you could recession-proof your equity right now? You can with Truehold. Truehold will buy your home for its best current value before a recession can erode it. You get to bank all the cash now and live in your home for as long as you want, and Truehold covers all property taxes, insurance, repairs, and maintenance. And since Truehold pays your home's current value in cash now, it's yours to do whatever you like. Don't wait for inflation, recession, and interest rates to erode your home's value. Visit Truehold.com and discover how much Truehold will buy your home for today based on its best current value, not what's coming. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit Truehold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out on your home's value without having to move. That's Truehold.com.
KMOX, KECK HD2, K254CR, St. Louis.
The legendary voice of St. Louis, KMOX. Always live on the free Odyssey app. Mid-America's most trusted source for news, KMOX.
At 12 o'clock, we have sunny skies and 56 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Carol Daniel. The news sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts, michaelsflooringoutlet.com. Services have been announced for the teacher killed in Monday's school shooting in South St. Louis. Visitation for 61-year-old Jean Kutska will be held Sunday from 2 to 8 p.m. at Cuta's Funeral Home on Gravois, followed by the funeral at their chapel at 9 a.m. Monday. A mass will be held next at the Cathedral Basilica on Lindell at 10 a.m. She was a health and personal finance educator. She is survived by her husband and 5 children.
God, let your light shine throughout the streets.
The community met for prayer and reflection outside Central CPA and Collegiate after Monday's shooting. Hundreds gathered for the vigil. There was a balloon release as well to honor the lives of those killed, including the teacher and 15-year-old Alexandria Bell. A memorial of candles, flowers, and raw messages of pain and encouragement continue to grow outside the campus. A big question remains about the gun used in Monday's shooting.
St. Louis police released a statement Wednesday evening saying the gun used in Monday's deadly attack at Central Visual and Performing Arts High School was the same assault-style rifle that was taken away from the suspect at his home on October 15th. The mother found the gun in their home and called police. Responding officers found he was in legal possession of the weapon, but another person known to the family was contacted to take the gun away. How the gun got back into the suspect's hands is not yet clear. Police say the family was doing everything they could to keep a gun out of the hands of a son whose mental health was concerning. Sean Michael Lyle, KMOX News.
There was a powerful clash between the families of the children killed in Uvalde and the head of the Department of Public Safety who oversaw the response to the mass shooting. Reporter Chris Fox has more on that from Austin.
The families of those killed in Uvalde got their chance to address DPS Director Colonel Steve McCraw at the Public Safety Commission meeting. Pressure is mounting on McCraw to resign due to what he referred to as the abject failure of law enforcement's response to the school shooting. Brett Cross called him out.
I lost my damn son. Your anger is not going to outmatch mine, man.
Guess what? I'm not angry. I'm hurt. I am absolutely devastated what happened to Uvalde.
Are you a man of your word?
Absolutely.
Then resign.
Okay, thank you.
McCraw had said that he would resign if TPS failed the people of Uvalde. Chris Fox for CBS News, Austin.
The DEA is downplaying reports that fentanyl pills disguised as candy could turn up in your child's Halloween bag. Here's Kevin Killeen.
Some multicolored candy-looking pills of fentanyl were seized recently in California, but St. Louis DEA spokeswoman Andre Swanson says that it was probably just a ruse to get them past border security, not a signal that they're going to turn up in your kid's candy. Swanson says drug dealers are in business to make money, and at $5 a pill, they're not going to be giving it away. Swanson does say check your kids' candy before they start diving into it, and she says there is a possibility some marijuana chewables could turn up, so watch for those.
And taking a look at the First Mid-Bank and Trust business desk, the power finally came back on Wednesday at City Park Stadium. Today, the soccer team announced the first game to be played there.
On Wednesday, November 16th, 4 days before the World Cup begins in the Middle East, SC2 will christen St. Louis's stadium against Bayer Leverkusen. That's a top team in Germany's Bundesliga.
We believe an international friendly with a Champions League caliber club is the perfect way to begin to unveil our new world-class stadium and district to our fans and the global soccer community.
Team president Carolyn Kindle says the venue will be at full capacity, 22,500 for the game. Tickets go on sale to the general public at 2 p.m. Friday. As for the stadium's name, the team says naming rights are still available. They're reworking their partnership with Centene, and it'll remain City Park for the time being. Scott Jagal, KMOX News.
And KMOX will carry that matchup live right here. The Dow from Stifel is up 326 points at 32,165. Watch for emergency vehicles, 270 eastbound at 170. The left lane is closed. MoDOT says that could be out there 4 hours. There's a stall 270 northbound at Page. The left lane is closed in that location.
Cool temperatures, but a typical cool for this point in October. Lots of sunshine this afternoon. Light winds for a change. 62 tonight. A few clouds around, no big deal. In the 50s this evening. 38 for the cold overnight low. Friday, partly to mostly sunny. 62. On to the weekend. Saturday, partly sunny, maybe a sprinkle in the afternoon. Don't worry about it. No big deal. 65, but there will be light rain showers around Saturday night and during the day on Sunday. I'm meteorologist Dave Murray for the Voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
We have sunny skies and 56 degrees downtown at the Arch. The forecast sponsored by St. Louis City SC. The new MLS club is now hiring stadium employees for their historic inaugural season. To work for St. Louis's professional soccer team, visit stlcitysc.com/jobs. That's stlcitysc.com/jobs. I'm Carol Daniel, KMOX News.
The show, sponsored by Straight Realty, your St. Louis area experts. Why pay more than $4? 314-441-4444.
All right, 12:06 on the show. Chris Ranji, Amy Marskors, Kevin Wheeler with you here. Just had a chance toward the end of last hour to briefly bring up the topic of the naming rights for now City Park, but which was going to be Centene Stadium, and the change from that this week. Got a chance to mention it briefly with Dennis Moore from St. Louis City SC, and we're going to expand a little bit more on that conversation with Nathan Rebelke from the St. Louis Business Journal. He covers technology, innovation, sports business, and we're happy to have you with us today. Nathan, thank you so much. We appreciate it. How you doing today?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
All right, glad to do it. And obviously, we're looking at what was, at least to us, an unexpected change. And when we talked about it the day after the news came about, certainly it's a story about city, of course, but there's also things that kind of go beyond that for the city on a larger scale with Centene. But let's start with the naming rights for the stadium first, and just your understanding of what led to this and where things might be headed now.
Yeah, like you guys said, it was a surprising move. We've seen sports venues and concert venues in this town change names over time, but I don't think we've ever seen one change before it's even opened.
Right.
So that was surprising. But it sounds like it's something you just talked to Dennis, that they're reworking the partnership with Centene, and they'll continue to have a partnership with Centene. It'll look a lot different. But they're also going back out and trying to sell naming rights again. And, I expect that the City Park name in its current form will be temporary. I'd be surprised if they don't, get some sort of naming rights partnership in place before they begin play next year.
I think we all had the same reaction first. It was, wow, that's weird that they've pulled out this quickly. And secondly, what does it mean for the company as a whole now? Because you're talking about one of the largest employers in the city. It's a Fortune 500 company. Does this mean something more about the state of the company or what their plans are?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's hard to tell what it might mean for Centene and St. Louis in particular at this point. But I think it just shows so much has happened in the 8 months since they announced this deal. As we put in our story, they announced the deal in mid-February.
Mm-hmm.
About a week later, Michael Neidorff, their then CEO, went on medical leave, and he sadly passed away about 2 months later in early April. And under the new CEO, Sarah London, they've made a lot of changes in terms of real estate footprint, expansion plans. And it looks like this is sort of another sort of, shoot to drop in sort of their strategic reworking of what they want to be and what they want to do ahead, and what that means for St. Louis. There's a lot of questions to be asked and to be answered here in the next few months.
Yeah, and you mentioned the new CEO, Sarah London, and there was also a new investment group that reached an agreement with Centene in December of 2021. Then you have the naming rights, the 15-year deal for naming rights with Centene and St. Louis City. And then 8 months later, you see Centene pulling out of that naming rights deal. Does that mean that some of the bigger changes to increase profit margins for Centene are being driven by the new CEO, Sarah London, or did it just take this newer investment group a few months to start throwing their weight around?
That's a good question, and I'm not totally sure yet. I probably assume it's a mix of both. They reported earnings this week, and they were up from a year ago. They had a strong quarter, so they're making these moves. But in what they're reporting, I'm assuming they're pretty pleased with where they're at, and they believe they've taken the right steps.
Yeah, that's kind of where I wanted to go next, Nathan, was whether or not we should read much into a company that is $125 billion in revenue, and we're talking about a deal that's $3 to $5 million a year. I mean, this is not a really big amount of money for a company the size of Centene. It is a pretty good chunk for a new professional sports franchise, however, not deal-breaking money, but certainly a good amount of money. But from the Centene side, this really is, barely a pebble dropping into the ocean.
Yeah, on their end, it might be more symbolic than anything of where they want to go with their partnerships when it comes to marketing and charitable efforts. But on the flip side, like you said, it's a significant portion of revenue for City SC. I mean, this and the jersey sponsorship, those are the two big corporate partnerships, and so now they're sort of starting that process again, which for them is difficult. But like I said, I'm sure they'll have a deal here. I'd be surprised if they don't.
Do you have any front runners for the deal? Because again, a pro sports venue and a corporate naming rights deal, they're basically synonymous at this point. I think it's Lambeau Field maybe doesn't have one.
No, Busch Stadium's not a corporate name.
Not a corporate name.
It is, but it isn't, right?
Sort
of,
yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Are there any front runners?
I'm not sure at this point. I'm sure, I've been really impressed with who they've signed so far. Obviously, you've got Anheuser-Busch, you've got Purina, and maybe it could be one of them upping their commitment with City FC. Who knows? But I'm, given who they've announced so far, I'm sure it's a name that we'll all recognize and be really familiar with in this town.
Yeah, usually on something like this, a venture like this, you're going to get primarily companies that are local. I don't know what they have as far as sponsorships for national brands. And yes, Anheuser-Busch is a national brand, but are there others?
Yeah, at this point, obviously they've got the partnership Purina, which is national in scope. But it'll be interesting to see who they bring to the table here. They could go national. Soccer's growing. There's a lot of interest in sponsoring there, so they could go that way. It'll be really interesting to see how it shakes out and who wants to be in it. And I assume when they did the deal with Centene, they had others they were talking to at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure they'll go back to those folks and see if this is something they're still interested in.
Just from an optics perspective, as a fan, I'm just, a regular person in St. Louis. I see this story break. It strikes me as, well, that's awkward because, this is a big deal. This is the St. Louis City SC. We've been talking about it. It's building the St. Louis brand. It's saying, yes, we've got, the Taylor family involved. This is all about St. Louis. Centene, this giant corporation that's here in St. Louis, for them to be okay with bad optics is kind of a surprise because I do think it looks kind of like that.
It feels
awkward
bad.
event. It
feels bad.
Yeah, it's interesting, and they haven't they released a statement, but they haven't said much out beyond that at this point. But at the end of the day, they're a public company, and it's all about shareholder value and earnings and share price. And if it's part of that strategy to bring those up, the optics might not matter as much. The optics they probably care most about or what shareholder is going to be pleased with. So from a Centene perspective, it's a little awkward, no doubt, but. Yeah. It's something they'll probably move on from pretty soon.
Well, as it moves along, we'll look forward to tracking your work on this. Nathan, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it, and we'll look forward to catching up again.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone.
You got it, Nathan Rebelke from the St. Louis Business Journal. And you can find him on Twitter, by the way, STLBizN Rebelke, and that's RUBBELKE. It's funny. I feel like, I don't know about you guys if you're the same as me, but I feel like my perception of this whole thing has changed a little bit as we've gotten a little further away from the news. Because when it happened, my reaction was, wow, that's really weird.
Yeah.
It's really close to the first season. This seems, like it's not, it is a big deal, but it seemed, I don't know, at first, like it was more than it is, more than I think now. And I mean, it's a bigger deal to me for the team than it is for us trying to read Centene, in my opinion, the more I've thought about it and read. A company that big making a move over $3 to $5 million seems almost unnecessary. But again, if it's a part of a larger movement to do 1,000 things like that, as opposed to just this one thing, and we just aren't aware of all of those other things.
And they are doing 1,000 things like that. They're cutting back their in-person workforce. I believe, what was it, 65%? I mean, it's across the board, across the country. In-person workforce, meaning like working in an office.
I think you mentioned it. I think you mentioned it. Why it almost seems not worth the negative exposure for $3 to $5 million on a story like this. Almost seems like that's not even worth it.
And I guess there might not be anything more to it. It's just from a fan's perspective. Again, it would be like our show if we bragged like, you know what? Bob's going to sponsor it. Bob's going to pay for hats and t-shirts. And we're like so excited. We tell everybody. And then the show, right before the show starts, Bob decides not to do that.
Yeah.
Oh, Bob.
Like,
can't
Bob,
stand
enough
guy.
of Bob.
Bob said no.
Can't stand that guy. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And I do think they'll find as Nathan said, I think they'll find a new naming rights partner at some point. I would think pretty quick. By quick, I don't mean like in a week or two, but the season's not starting until late February. The first home match is March. Yeah. So good news there.
KMOX Field.
Oh,
I'm down.
Show pitch.
It's got to be
showtime at City Park.
Yeah. We have to keep City Park.
The City Park.
We have to keep City Park.
Show at City Park.
I love
Showtime.
A stadium's naming convention. It's whatever field at so-and-so park. I love that. Like Camden Yards at Oriole Park at Camden Yards. I really like that naming convention. I really, really like it. So KMOX Field at City Park. I think it sounds great.
KMOX Field at City Park.
And I'm willing to listen
is it a pitch, though?
It is a pitch. But you don't call the stadium a pitch. The pitch is the field itself.
Right.
Oh.
I don't know. All I know is that I'd rather it be the show.
Well, I mean, that's a little selfish. We love everybody at KMOX.
No, that's true. That's true.
How about this?
Maybe together we can get more money together.
How about show pitch at KMOX Field at City Park?
Okay, and now that's done too. Like my college basketball team, Illinois State, they have named their court. It's Doug Collins Court.
Yep.
Yeah. So we could do that too.
So that's
the show pitch.
Yep.
At KMOX
Field.
At City Park.
What they did at my alma mater is it's Mark Light Stadium for the baseball stadium at Miami.
Yeah.
But Alex Rodriguez Field because he donated a bunch of money to rebuild the facility.
Oh, see, we're not going to donate any money.
No. How about just like City Park?
Is money involved in this?
Yeah.
Colon
we can't
the
do that.
show.
We're not going to spell out the colon, are we?
No. It's just going to be
okay,
there. It's
all
going to
right,
be
fine.
there in the visuals.
How about semicolon? No one ever uses semicolons.
Yeah, they're terrible. I don't like those.
I like them.
Matt Pauley is going to join us after the news at 12:30. Up next, a story that, honest to God, is almost impossible to believe, with American diplomats subjected to horrific things in China. We'll explain coming up next on the show.
Guys, it is time right now to get your annual eye exam. It's one of those parts of your body that I feel like people just kind of, unless there's a massive problem, they just kind of let it slide. Well, the folks at Ophthalmology Associates want you to not do that. And they want you to schedule your eye exam, your annual eye exam, because it affects so many different things in your life. And guess what? Many insurance policies do cover the cost of getting that annual exam. So it's important to do it. You want to update your medical chart with the current information. And the annual eye exams, by the way, they can also find early stages of other medical issues that you may not realize you have. Diabetes, high blood pressure, macular degeneration. There are all kinds of early diagnoses they can do just with your annual eye exam. And that's what they're doing at Ophthalmology Associates. And what you want to do is give them a call and schedule that appointment, 314-966-5000. And you can visit with Dr. Malhotra or Dr. Birdie, Dr. Brasati, or Dr. Royer. Any one of them will take care of you. 314-966-5000 or youridoc.com.
We're days away from the midterms that will impact the direction of this country. You're being bombarded with messages. Good luck sifting through the information yourself.
When I do a search on Google and you do a search on Google, we're getting very different results.
What are media outlets responsible for?
You hold your nose and you air the ad.
Information, misinformation, disinformation, and the midterms coverage you'll find only on KMOX.
Men suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE, regardless of age or past medical history, you'll see instant results on your first visit at Paramount Men's Medical Center. And for a limited time, your initial consultation and first treatment are totally free. Call now, 314-720-8081.
Are you tired of exposing your retirement to stock market risk? How would you like the potential to participate in credited interest from market index returns and limit the downside? Join me, Ben Coons, for the Retirement and Income Radio Show, heard here every Saturday at 3 p.m. on KMOX Radio. You can also call me now for your complimentary retirement and income book at 844-513-SAFE. That's 844-513-7233.
Summer is over and we're coming into winter quickly. I cannot tell you how cold it's going to be. I can just say we're in St. Louis, so it's your guess is as good as mine, but it's wise to have your furnace checked for your safety. And remember, furnaces and air conditioners do not break during this time of this kind of weather. When it's nice and comfortable, you don't need them. It's either 0 degrees and a foot of snow, or it's 100 degrees when they break. So call us. It's Bart Inman, One Easy Number, Missouri in Illinois. The only number for Bart Inman Air is 314-293-2600. Again, for Missouri and Illinois, one easy number, 314-293-2600 or bartinman.com. Now that is Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com.
Hey guys, Glover here from my friends at Zero Res, carpet cleaning experts. Great time of year to get your carpets cleaned. Football season, the kids are back from break. They're running around the house. They're playing games. They're rolling around on the carpet. You have the holidays coming up. It's cold and flu season, and we all know that your carpets hold in things like that, just nastiness and dirt and dander and dust and skin cells and pet stuff and pizza because of the laws of gravity. Well, this month's DGS KMOX special is the more you clean, the more you save. Get 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at just $129 or get 5 rooms starting at just $199. That is a 43% savings. Book now to get the best carpet cleaning deal of this season. And don't forget about your air ducts, $75 off air duct cleaning. And don't forget, Zero Res is hiring right now. So give us a call, 314-474-2020 or ZeroResSTL.com. Spell it backwards, spell it forwards, ZeroResSTL.com.
Serving St. Louis for over 96 years. KMOX.
All right, we got Matt Pauley joining us at 12:30. A little bit more on some of the stuff we just couldn't get to yesterday related to all the news with the Cardinals and heading into the off season. So we'll follow up on a few things with Matt Pauley here in a few minutes. Amy, you brought up the story, and I read it, and I am feeling ill. It is one of the most ridiculous things I think I've seen. I mean, there's a lot. You know, we covered news, and news can be ridiculous, but this is beyond. It's not a horror story, but it feels like
it feels like one. It's very upsetting. So there was a whistleblower. A whistleblower went to the Wall Street Journal and shared internal memos, emails, and cables that were delivered to the U.S. State Department senior officials over the past 2 years. Regarding what, you may ask? Well, this is about China's mistreatment of Foreign Service officers and their families who were assigned to the U.S. Embassy and consulates in China. So again, U.S. Officials who are at the U.S. Embassy in China during the COVID years. I'm just going to read a little bit of some of these cables regarding the treatment of these American citizens in China. First of all, congressional aides said that the state has privately admitted that some 30 individuals, Americans, were imprisoned for weeks in locked room and often had squalid conditions. The official number was 16, but really there were 30. The story continues. According to a whistleblower complaint, the, quote, fever clinics, which is where these Americans were sent, are small, dirty rooms, there were pictures, located in converted shipping containers. The doors are locked and the windows are barred. Upon arrival, individuals were required to undergo nasal and throat swabs, spit, urine, and stool samples, and to submit to EKGs and CT scans. Children were tested.
CT scans?
Yes. Children were tested with adult-sized nasal swabs, causing nosebleeds. Many, again, this is including kids, had to be forcibly restrained for repeated nose swabs, and parents report ongoing trauma. These are American children. The facilities had no soap, toilet paper, towels, laundry service, or even potable water. Detainees had to beg for bottled water or wait for outside care packages. There were no TV, some places no Wi-Fi, food was minimal. One family reported their children largely received soup for every meal. Obviously, the detainees had notable weight loss, and these American citizens were entirely at the mercy of the Chinese government to provide several negative tests, which often didn't come for weeks or even months. So there was another story of a family who had 5 members in this so-called fever clinic from July 24th to September 25th, and these 5 people were subjected to 159 throat, nose, and blood tests. Another family of 4 spent 69 days in a fever clinic. Again, converted shipping containers, doors barred, no windows, begging for food. I mean, these are torture conditions. This practice apparently has since stopped, I guess, since the government was made aware of it and took action, but somebody needs to be held accountable for
what in
this.
the world? But I don't know how you hold anybody accountable for it. Like, what could you possibly do to them? Well, start a war? I mean, you could sanction them somehow.
I'm sorry, not even China. I'm talking, who were these senior officials in the U.S. government who didn't make a bigger stink about this, who didn't try to get these people out of these conditions?
Yeah, that's the question. Because, I mean, unfortunately, there's not much you can do on a large scale against a large government. We're finding that out with Russia. There's only so much you can do, and they're invading another country right down the road. But yeah, I think that's the real question, right? Is what did people here know, and what action did they take? But let's throw out the potential here. Maybe they did try, and China just went, whatever.
Yeah. And what are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
It was Jay Greenberg, who we had on the show yesterday, But he was on the station a separate time, and he said China is one of the 3 countries that would love to see us go down. And don't think this isn't a symptom of that.
I would agree with that. Horrible story. Obviously, something to follow up on. Hopefully, there is something to do. Question would end up being what?
The ghosts are getting ready. Things will give you such a fright.
Hey guys, it's Glover from the DGS. Make sure you're with me Monday, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. for the 21st annual DGS Halloween show, where we will be revisiting our epic 2008 visit to the Exorcist house in Belnor.
Spend your Halloween with a Dave Glover show. Monday, only on KMOX.
If you love books, reading, authors, and libraries, then you need to join Book Chat with Debbie Monterey and St. Louis Public Library. I just had my Facebook Live author chat just in time for Halloween with paranormal storytellers Leanna Renee Heber and Andrea Janes. They joined me to talk about the female ghosts featured in A Haunted History of Invisible Women, True Stories of America's Ghosts. It's an offbeat history of female spirits and a fascinating look into the past and the changing way society views women. It's not campfire ghost stories, but a real look behind the women and their true stories. Speaking of women, you should check out at Central Library the new exhibit, Dangerous Women, featuring the true life stories of Mary Harris Mother Jones and Frances Fanny Sellens, extraordinary women who face jail and death to challenge power on behalf of workers' rights. Don't be an invisible woman, be a dangerous woman, and arm yourself with knowledge from St. Louis Public Library. And join us on Facebook, Book Chat with Debbie Monterey and St. Louis Public Library.
Ah, the sweet sounds of a quiet garage door. Never heard it? Schedule your garage door tune-up with Overhead Doors St. Louis. It's only $89.95 for the 26-point safety inspection and tune-up. That's one price for up to 3 garage doors and openers. Add nylon rollers for a smooth, more quiet operation. The Overhead Door brand is trusted by homeowners in St. Louis since 1926. Schedule your garage door tune-up online at overheaddoorsstlouis.com or call 314-781-5200.
I'm Brian Westbrook with Coalition Life. Over the past decade, Coalition Life has served thousands of women in crisis pregnancies, helping to save the lives of the children they carry. Help us build a better community while also reducing or completely eliminating your Missouri taxes with a 70% tax credit. A $1,000 donation today to help these women could cost you as little as $141 out of pocket. Learn more at coalitionlife.com, coalitionlife.com. Thank you.
At 12:30, we have sunny skies and 56 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Carol Daniel. Markets got some good news today that the government reporting the U.S. economy grew last quarter by 2.6% after contracting the previous 2 quarters. The economy has been under pressure from inflation, which the Federal Reserve has been trying to clamp down on by raising interest rates. Michael Farr is president and CEO of Farr Miller in Washington, D.C. He says the inflation data supports some alarmism. The Federal Reserve is set to meet again next week and is expected to raise interest rates again by 0.75 of a percentage point. President Biden and Vice President Harris will campaign together Friday in Philadelphia in support of the Senate hopes of Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman. CBS News senior White House correspondent Ed O'Keefe says the trip was planned before what some observers are describing as a faltering performance by Fetterman in Tuesday's debate with Republican opponent Dr. Mehmet Oz.
This event with the Vice President and the President was scheduled before the debate. The White House, the Democratic Party, convinced that picking up the Senate seat in Pennsylvania is key to holding Senate control, but it's also beginning to lay the groundwork for 2024.
Missouri American Water alerting customers in parts of South St. Louis County that the water might taste earthy or metallic. They're trying to minimize the taste, but assure KMOX there's no health risk. The taste change is being blamed on recent rain. They say it should return to normal by Sunday. Taking a look at the commute. There's a stalled vehicle, 170 northbound past 64. It's on the right shoulder. Watch for a crash, 270 eastbound past Bell Fountain Road. Be prepared to stop there. That could be impacting traffic for another hour. The KMOX forecast for this afternoon, mainly sunny. Look for a high of 63, clear to partly cloudy tonight, the low of 43. Friday's high 65 with partly sunny skies. It's sunny and 56 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Carol Daniel, KMOX News.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at lancedrurylaw.com. Driven by the Bomarito Automotive Group, the voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
This is Debbie Monterey with a real estate update and some insight from my friend and trusted realtor, Gloria Liu, with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Gloria told me that sitting on the sidelines may not be the best strategy moving forward in this continually shifting market. Homes aren't selling as quickly, and in most cases, price reductions are becoming pretty common. Gloria also said that earlier this year, with low inventory, sellers didn't need a strategy to sell homes because homes were listed and sold immediately. Now more than ever, it's crucial to have a proven strategy to get your home sold, and that's why I strongly suggest you call local real estate expert Gloria Liu before you list your home to get the absolute most money. Gloria is so confident that she will sell your home, she'll guarantee in writing upfront to sell it at your agreed-to price and time frame, or she'll buy your home herself. Learn more by calling Gloria Liu at 314-325-6888, 314-325-6888, or online at gloriahasthebuyers.com.
This November 8th, be sure to finish your ballot and vote for your judges. Missouri's judicial system gives voters the final say in retaining their judges. So know your judges before you vote. Visit yourmissouriJudges.org and learn about the nonpartisan judges up for retention this year. That's yourmissouriJudges.org. It's up to you to help make sure we have skilled, fair, and impartial judges. Know your judges and finish the ballot proudly. Visit yourmissouriJudges.org.
Paid for by the Missouri Bar, Misha Epps, Executive Director.
Hi guys, it's Andrew with Pineview Medical Clinic. Is erectile dysfunction damaging your relationship? Are you sick of the pill and all the side effects? Well, welcome to the future. We have a major medical breakthrough. Pineview Medical Clinic uses the most advanced form of wave therapy. Backed by 60 clinical studies, our technology uses pressure waves to repair and open up blood vessels. We've helped countless men get rid of their ED. But what is the true end result? Their relationship, even their lives, improve drastically. If you're ready to regain your love life, call us right now, and not only will the assessment and ultrasound be free, we'll also give you a gift that produces immediate results in the bedroom. It almost never fails. This is worth $550, and it's free to callers right now. 314-530-7777. That's 314-530-7777. Put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and experience what I call the happiness ripple effect. Call Pineview Medical Clinic now. 314-530-7777.
Get ready for Thursday Night Football as the Ravens take on the Buccaneers. Hear the game on 98.7 FM, 1120 AM, and streaming on KMOX.com. Kickoff at 7. It's Thursday Night Football on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
All right, time for our Redbird Report 1235 here on the show. Chris Ranji, A.B. Mark Scores, Kevin Wheeler with you here, and Matt Pauley joining us. Obviously covered a lot of ground yesterday, Matt. I'm sure there are a few things that we didn't totally get to because, well, there was a lot from yesterday. But thanks for jumping on again, buddy. How you doing?
Yeah, glad to be here.
Can I just bring up as a point of parliament?
Oh, God.
Kevin and Matt had a handshake hug thing yesterday in the hallway.
Handshake bro hug, but it was awkward because he didn't know what I was doing at first.
Yeah.
And he's like, why is he pulling me closer? And then I went in for the little, like, you get the clutch of the hand and you get a little
And not only did
pat
you,
on the shoulder.
you did it twice.
I was trying to show him how we were going to do this thing, like, when we greet each other moving forward.
No.
I don't do that to you, Ron, because you always look at me weird. You're like,
yeah, because I
"Ugh."
don't want you to be I don't want to be touched.
Yeah.
I really thought you wanted me to tickle you behind your ear, and I'm so sorry.
That's okay too. I mean,
Good Lord.
I'm a bit of a short fellow, so
What
you
in
can
the hell?
do that. Like a little.
Shall we leave you two a little?
I would rather have like the
Would
little.
you like us to leave the studio?
I'm more like a dog though, like the little scratch. That'd be better.
Oh.
That's a little. Thank you. All right, let's shift into some baseball talk, Matt.
I feel like we're interrupting, Amy.
Since Ranji made it weird.
I didn't make it weird. I made it weird.
Well, that whole ear thing was a little weird.
You guys talk about tickling.
That's a good point. Matt made it weird, and then Raji made it weirder. All right, so
I'm just going to start calling you Elmo.
Yep, that's cool. That's cool. I have red hair, so
Damn.
I'm short and have red hair, so it kind of fits. Not a problem there.
Sounds like we have a lot to work out here.
Yeah, we'll take care of that a little bit later on. So one of the things we didn't get to yesterday, Matt, was part of what John Mozeliak talked about regarding the outfield. The outfield's been a conversation for several years going into each offseason and going into the year. And this year, it was like, okay, I think everybody thought, all right, this could be it. Tyler O'Neill had his breakout. There's your left fielder. Dylan Carlson's a rising young player. That's your right fielder. Harrison Bader may be a streaky hitter, but that's your defensive player. And now here we are, going into next season, this coming offseason, and Bader's not here. And there are questions again about the structure of what that's going to look like.
Yeah, so what happened this year, I think, is a great example of how tough it is to be a baseball decision maker when you are relying on people who don't have track records. Because Tyler O'Neill had 1 year, and then you're expecting him to repeat that, and he didn't. And now they're going to be in that exact same situation next year when it comes to Lars Nootbaar. Does Nootbaar, because we see one-hit wonders in baseball all the time. I'm not saying that's who Nootbaar is, but there is no guarantee that going into next season that Nootbaar is just going to pick up where he left off this year and will continue to progress and get better. I think he will. I like Lars Nootbaar a lot. And my expectation is that he's going to be a really good player. But even if I think that, there's no guarantee of that. So that's one of the tough things. And then you've got the Jordan Walker thing. We don't know. He's going to be a Cardinal at some point this upcoming season, probably towards the end of the year to get kind of a taste. So then you go into the next year and he's ready to take one of those spots. But what if he comes to spring training and he is just absolutely incredible and he's put together a really solid Arizona Fall League? So I think there's more question marks than answers right now. Dylan Carlson, there was the rumors that he was the holdup in the Juan Soto trade. That's not true at all. But obviously we learned during that period that the Cardinals thought very highly of him. Then all of a sudden he can't get on the field, and we start to learn, well, he's a little bit banged up and the wrist, and he ends up on the injured list, and he just never got it going. So lots of questions. There's a lot of guys. I guess that's the good thing. There's a ton of guys that can go out there, and you just hope that 3 of them are good enough to be everyday type outfielders, but we don't know who those 3-4 guys are going to be.
We're going to have some time before we know, probably have some time before Nolan Arenado announces a decision. He has until a few days after the World Series to make his decision on whether or not he's going to opt in or opt out with the team. We know the two, he and John Mozeliak, have had conversations about him coming back for 2023. And it sounds like in their discussions, they talked about what the plan is going to be. And just trying to read between the lines, it sounds like Arenado is basically saying, I want to compete. So, which is maybe putting a little pressure on the front office to do so. How aggressive do you think we can expect the front office to be?
Yeah, so a lot of things there. First off, I don't think it was a coincidence that Mozeliak kind of over and over yesterday said, we are increasing payroll. That might have been as much of a message to Nolan Arenado as anybody else, because as he said in that conversation with Arenado, there were the topics of what is this team going to do moving forward. And Arenado is able to ask those questions because he's got the opt-out. I would expect this team to be you don't make this big grand statement that we're going to increase payroll and then payroll goes up by 2 million or 5, even 10 million. Like, to me, that feels like if you're going to make that statement, it's got to be a really legitimate increase where you're bringing in a high level player as a result of the increased payroll. It's not just increased payroll to cover the arbitration eligible guys who are going to go out and get raises. So if you're a Cardinal fan, I think that is the single most important thing that was said yesterday, because Mozeliak goes out on record and basically says, we're going to go out and get some guys.
Well, and Wainwright and Goldschmidt have been talking to Arenado, telling him, hey, you need to stay here in St. Louis. I imagine that goes a long way when you have not just teammates, but Adam Wainwright and Paul Goldschmidt talking to you, trying to convince you to stay there. And the fact that we know that's public information, I feel like that is a good sign. It may not mean anything, but it's certainly not a bad sign.
Yeah, he wants to be here, I think. Now, the other side of this, and I don't have a whole lot of clarity Jeff Jones from the Belleville News Democrat wrote about this, and I had him on Sports Open Line earlier in the week, but nothing was really totally understood on this. The Cardinals are still owed money by the Colorado Rockies for the Arenado deal. So, we've been talking about, well, you know what, maybe you keep Arenado around, but you give him a little bit more money, you restructure the contract. What I don't have a firm grasp on is if restructuring the contract turns it into a new contract where all of a sudden the Rockies wouldn't have to pay as much money to the Cardinals. If he were to opt out of his contract and then re-sign with the Cardinals, the Rockies would be completely off the hook for that like $21 million that they still owe the team. And yesterday there was a follow-up question. I think Martin Kilcoyne from Fox 2 asked, so is this just simply a case of Arenado of either opting in or opting out, basically saying the idea of a restructure isn't on the table? And Mozeliak said yes to that. So it feels like they're not going to offer him any more money. And I don't know if that's a direct correlation with the way that they're getting money from the Rockies or not. But that's just another kind of side deal on this whole thing that makes it that much more complicated.
You say the Rockies owe the Cardinals money, and I took it like, do we need to go collect, or like we gotta break some thumbs?
Gotta
or what's
send Tyler O'Neill over there?
What's going on? Are they delinquent? Are the Colorado Rockies delinquent in paying the Cardinals?
Would you, Ronzi, if the Cardinals gave you a plane ticket to Denver, would you go knock on Dick Monfort's door and take some money?
I got a baseball bat with nails in it.
Oh my gosh!
What?
Ronzi's like,
how else do you collect your money?
With a lanyard and a notebook and a stern look.
Yeah, Ronzi's like,
and the baseball bat with the nails in it.
Ron's like, I'm just going straight to like a dystopic future.
Yeah, no, I'm just collecting my money, man. Matt Pauly's got nothing.
Matt's staying out of it, which is
Matt.
just
Oh no, I would like you to respond.
You got Mad Max over here.
Yeah, please don't take a bat to the owner of the Rockies.
There you go. All right,
I'm not going to. It's the threat. I'm not going to do it.
We know some
Well,
people
it's
from
not
the
a threat
FBI.
anymore. He's listening,
He's not listening.
Yeah, I
It's a
wish.
fan.
All right, so one quick thing on the payroll thing, and I know that there's some control for the team on this because they can, for example, non-tender some guys that are eligible for arbitration if they don't want to pay the money. Alex Reyes' name came up yesterday, and Mo was, I guess, expressing uncertainty about whether he'll be back. He's another guy that's, even though he's not been healthy, he's going to get a raise in arbitration because that's what happens. You get more money every year you go through arbitration, regardless of what happened before. But they don't have that many guys currently locked up on a salary. It's Arenado, Goldie, Michaelis, Matz, DeYoung, Gallegos, Verhagen, and Cabrera. Everybody else is either on a team control deal, which will be near the minimum, or they're in arbitration, which means like Montgomery, Flaherty, O'Neill, those guys are all going to make more money, and some of them significantly more money than they've made in the past. How much does that factor into them talking about the payroll going up? Because Helsley's first time eligible, Edman is first time eligible, and these are guys now that are very established that are going to get raises.
Yeah, I hope it doesn't. I don't know the answer to that question, but I can tell you what I hope for. I hope it doesn't. And it's the payroll going up just as a result of arbitration eligible guys getting paid more money. While from a technical standpoint, yeah, the payroll's going up. But from a functional standpoint, when you're looking into cameras and talking into microphones and saying the payroll's going up, and you are saying that directly to the St. Louis Cardinals fan base, I feel like what you're saying is we're going to have more money to spend on people, not just we're going to be able to afford our arbitration eligible guys. So you wouldn't expect him to. He's not going to paint himself into a corner, obviously, on just how much money it's going up. But it can't be. It can't just be the payroll's going up because of arbitration eligible guys getting raised.
Oh, I don't think that's going to be the case at all, but I do think people need to have a bit of a measured look at what that actually means as far as what's going to be added. It doesn't mean they're going to add 3 big salaries.
But some money's coming off the books too. Like, you're right about all the guys who are arbitration eligible, but Albert Pujols got paid pretty well this past year. He's coming off the books. Yadier Molina got paid pretty well. He's coming off the books. There's some other play. Corey Dickerson had not a huge salary, but it wasn't nothing. He's coming off the books. So there's some money that is coming off.
Matt, you're the best, buddy. Have fun on the show tonight. We'll look forward to talking to you again next week.
All right. Sounds great, guys.
You got it. Matt Pauly, host of Sports Open Line. Obviously, Cardinals pre- and post-game host in season. And soon, they'll be jumping into the countdown to opening day show. And it's not that soon, but it's sooner than you think it is. It'll be coming up here on KMOX throughout the course of the off season.
You know, you're the one that's trying to not rush to Christmas. And spring training is like a month and a half past Christmas. No, 2.5. Well, no, a month and a half.
The countdown to opening day starts before Christmas.
It does?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So
we're doing it.
Chronologically, it's like it covers the winter meetings and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
How exciting.
That's all November. So
that's great.
In reality, I'm actually on schedule pointing that out.
Oh,
like that's
okay.
actually, Ron, it's October. That's next month.
So wait,
Bro, you're right.
We have countdown to opening day and Hallmark's countdown to Christmas at the same time. Wow. It really is the most magical time of the year.
It really is.
I will say it used to be called the Hot Stove Show. So
well, that's what it
right, but it does go from November until the spring training. So it's kind of a part of that. But you're right, it sounded weird, but yeah, it starts in November and it covers the winter meetings and all that stuff.
Well, how about this? We got Cardinals programming all damn year.
Yes,
that's
exactly right.
We are the Cardinals, as I call it, mothership station.
Flagship.
Well, it's called flagship.
I know, but I accidentally said mothership during the 2019 Stanley Cup playoffs.
So you're keeping it?
Oh, yeah. So you're just going
to someone from ESPN, they're like, oh, you're with KMOX? I'm like, yes, we are the mothership for the St. Louis Blues.
Close enough.
Yeah. They knew what you meant, probably.
I think so.
All right, coming up next, when should you give up your seat for someone that's just a little bit older than you? And are there circumstances that can mitigate this? Because there's a story that at first seems like, well, duh, you give up your seat. After you examine it a little bit, maybe not so simple. That's next on the show.
All right. Well, this is simple. At least the fine folks at getrefunds.com can make it simple. And that's actually reassuring when you're talking about a tax refund for your business, a tax refund from the government. That sounds anything but simple. But here's the thing. The team at getrefunds.com, the team of tax attorneys they have put together are highly trained in this little-known payroll tax refund program and have already returned $1 billion to businesses, and they can help you too. All right, how do you know if they can help you? Well, if your business has 5 or more employees and managed to survive the COVID years, you could be eligible to receive a payroll tax rebate of up to $26,000 per employee. Now, all types of businesses can qualify, even if your business took PPP, you're a nonprofit, or you saw an increase in sales. To find out if your business qualifies, just go to getrefunds.com. Then you click on the Qualify Me button and you answer a few questions. That's go to getrefunds.com.
You're not just looking for a doctor, you're looking for a way to feel better. At Archwell Health, our team is devoted to improving the lives of seniors like you. Barbara was ready to try chair yoga for the first time. She took one of our classes and met friends along the way. James chatted with his doctor and the team dietitian and got to the bottom of his dizzy spells. Archwell Health members enjoy a community of comprehensive care because you are more than a patient. Join today at archwellhealth.com/livewell.
It's easy to think all money managers are pretty much the same, but at Fisher Investments, we're clearly different.
Different? How? You sell high commission investment products, right?
No, Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission-based investment products.
Well, you must earn commissions on trades.
Nope, never at Fisher. We're a fiduciary obligated to act in our client's best interest. It's the highest standard of care for a financial advisor.
How do you know what's in their best interest?
We get to know our clients and then tailor a portfolio based on their goals and needs.
But you probably sneak in some hidden and layered fees.
No, we have one transparent management fee, structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, you really do look out for your clients.
That's because our top priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. It might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investments and securities involve the risk of loss.
Paid for by Blaine for Congress.
I'm Blaine Luetkemeyer, and I approve this message.
We've seen some price increases. Some folks have raised worries that this could be a sign of persistent inflation. But that's not our view.
Reality is, inflation is now at a 40-year high, costing the typical family over $700 more every month just to stay even. That's the Biden extremist tax you pay every day. You pay it at the gas pump because of the extremist war against American energy. shutting down pipelines, and using red tape to stop new development. You pay it in the devastation in your retirement account. You pay it in the border crisis and out-of-control crime wave. And now, you've driven America into a recession. Our most powerful weapon to stop them is our vote. It's in our hands to stop the damage they're doing to our families and America. November 8th, vote.
The show, sponsored by Straight Realty, your St. Louis area experts. Why pay more than 4? 314-441-4444. Back to the show.
Yeah, the show!
With Amy, Chris, and Kevin on KMOX.
All right, it's the show on KMOX. Chris Ron G, Amy Mark Scores, Kevin Wheeler with you here. We've all been in a spot at some point where you're public transportation. Maybe it's not even a moving vehicle. Maybe it's not a train or a bus or anything. It could be just a room where there are limited places for people to sit down, and somebody comes in that let's just put it simply, because it could be because of age or an injury or whatever. Somebody could probably make better use of the seat that you're in than you have, right? If you're an able-bodied person, you can stand up and say, "Here you go. You have a broken leg. Why don't you take the chair?" And there was a story that comes out, Amy, that at first makes the person who had the seat sound really bad, and then you start to read about it, and you're like, maybe not.
Well,
what is that story?
So this lady is on a train in the United Kingdom. Let me jump in here.
This was your
well, first of all,
idea.
Hey, I'm going to get this for you right here.
Oh, my gosh.
There was a lady on a train in the United Kingdom, and it would have been a 7-hour trip, about 7 hours. And she was working. It was in the middle of the day. She had bought this ticket ahead of time, first class, I guess what is considered first class. She had bought this ticket ahead of time because she wanted to be able to have some space to do some work. And she's a younger person, able-bodied, whatever. And the train's getting full, getting ready to depart. And an older lady gets on the train and goes up to where she's sitting and points up to the top where there's a handicap symbol. And she basically says, "Hey, I'm elderly. This should be my seat." But this lady didn't pay for this seat. She just walked up, and because she was elderly, in her 60s, by the way.
I was going to say
which isn't even really elderly.
No, it's not.
It's just she thought, I'm in my 60s, I should have this chair. And the woman at first was about to, I don't know if she was about to or not, but she ultimately said, "No, I paid for this. I want to be here." And the lady said, "There are no other seats for me to sit in." And you are not, when they sell you the ticket on this particular train, depending on what seat you buy, you are not necessarily guaranteed a seat. You might have to stand.
And this is a train from London to Scotland.
Yeah.
It's a 7-hour train ride, and she bought a first class seat. Because
The younger lady,
because it's a 7-hour train ride, and she wanted to work. And again, as Ron said, you can buy a ticket on the train, but your seat's not guaranteed unless you plan ahead, pay more, and buy a first class seat.
Right.
And what's so interesting to me is that this is the train company's fault. I understand, think, well, why did this lady, again, I don't know what condition she's in, because I know a lot of people in their 60s who are running marathons and are just fine.
Yeah.
And so I don't know what elderly means, if she just meant because she's in her 60s, which is not elderly to me, or she actually does struggle. I'm not sure. But this woman paid extra for a first class seat, and for the train company to not have separate seats for a first class and a seat that would accommodate someone with special needs.
Right.
That's the train company's fault, because now you look like the bad guy because you're not giving up your seat.
So that begs the question, would you give up your seat? You paid money for this. You paid money specifically to be in this area so you could get some work done over the several hours of your train trip. And then another woman who's older than you comes up next to you and tries to guilt you into getting up and giving you her seat. Would you do it? 314-436-7900. Because I'm going to tell you right now, nope. Nope, there's no chance. There's no chance I give it up.
You can't sell disability seats as first class seats.
Well, right. But the question now is, the company's already done it. There's nothing you can do while you're on the train. Now you're faced with the decision, right? That's the question that we're facing.
Yeah.
And the question is, what would you do? It's not an easy one.
Amy would get up. I know she would.
I might too, but it depends on the work I have to do. We'll get into that and a little bit more coming up after the news.
People who shop at Diamonds Direct for diamonds and engagement rings can't believe the prices.
They blew everybody else out of the water.
I saved between $1,500 and $2,000. Came here first, got a really good price, went around everywhere else, and it wasn't really even close.
I'd looked online. I'd actually shopped a couple of local stores. They could not begin to touch the size, the quality, or the pricing.
Crazy the deal that we got. Couldn't believe I was able to get into a ring like this.
Of all the places that I visited, everybody from mom and pop shops to wholesalers to local franchisees, nobody could compete from a pricing standpoint with Diamonds Direct.
It's because Diamonds Direct is a true direct diamond importer with special access to the world's most exquisite diamonds. No middleman markups and a commitment to beat any price, anywhere, anytime.
Whether it be duty-free in the Caribbean or other countries, Diamonds Direct prices have beaten everything I've looked at.
At least 20% lower than what we had been looking at other stores.
They blew everybody else out of the water.
Get the engagement ring of her dreams at the price you deserve. Diamonds Direct, your love, our passion. DiamondsDirect.com.
Hi, this is Charlie Brennan. If you want the best looking home in the neighborhood, call Banner Construction. You should know that Banner is a James Hardie Elite Preferred Contractor. James Hardie Fiber Cement Siding has the rich look and feel of wood. And Banner is also a Platinum Certified Pella Window Contractor. Those Pella windows are beautiful, and they come with a 30-year warranty. Since 1993, my friends at Banner have engineered their projects to go beyond the basic low-cost solutions. That's more than 25 years of experience. And now is the perfect time to plan for this important project and do what the Brennans do. Call on the experts at Banner. They're ready to help. After all, one of the safest investments you can make today is an exterior renovation to your home. And Banner Homes have timeless beauty, striking curb appeal, and ultra-low maintenance. If you take pride in your home, trust it to the team of experts at Banner Construction. Call 314-569-1050 or online bannerconstruction.com.
KMOX, KECK HD2, K254CR St. Louis.
The home of the Cardinals, KMOX. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
I'm Tim Fitch, former chief of the St. Louis County Police Department. At a time when violent crime threatens our kids and our communities, we need tough leaders who will stand against criminals and with our men and women in law enforcement. That's why I support Dennis Hancock for St. Louis County Council. Dennis Hancock is endorsed by the St. Louis County Fraternal Order of Police. His opponent? She's backed by groups that want to defund the police. As the mayor of Fenton, Dennis Hancock didn't make excuses for criminals, he locked them up. Dennis proudly worked with law enforcement to keep our streets and our families safe. And that's exactly what he'll do on the St. Louis County Council. I hope you'll join me in supporting Dennis Hancock this November.
Dennis Hancock for St. Louis County Council. Reform St. Louis County Now is responsible for the content of this advertising. Paid for by Reform St. Louis County Now, firesampage.com, and not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Mid-America's most trusted source for news. KMOX.
At 1 o'clock, we have sunny skies and 58 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Carol Daniel. Our top story. Legal questions remain after Monday's deadly school shooting. For instance, now we know police went to the suspect's house October 15th for a domestic disturbance call. The suspect's mother wanted a gun she'd found out of her home, so she called police. Police took the weapon and gave it to another adult. We asked KMOX legal analyst Brad Young about the procedure.
And so once they determined that he was 18, the next thing they had to do was to determine whether or not he was a convicted felon, and he was not. And they had to determine whether or not he had been committed to a mental institution, which he had not.
Young says there was nothing further police could do. There's a 24-hour resource to provide access to mental health services in the area called Behavioral Health Response. Bart Andrews is Chief Clinical Officer.
The most important thing that we can do right now is acknowledge that this happened, create hope and safety, and make sure those that need assistance can get it immediately. And that's exactly what the Youth Connection Helpline was created for.
The hotline is 988. It does accept text messages as well. A somber day in Pennsylvania as it remembers the lives lost in a religious attack.
October 27th is a day Pittsburgh will never forget. It's been 4 years since a gunman opened fire inside the Tree of Life Synagogue during Shabbat morning services. 11 people were killed, 6 more injured in what is the deadliest attack on Jewish people in U.S. history. The anniversary comes at a time of rising anti-Semitism. The Anti-Defamation League reported a 34% increase in incidents from 2020 to 2021.
CBS News correspondent Bradley Blackburn reporting. The DEA has a word for parents about Halloween candy.
This is Kevin Killeen outside DEA headquarters in St. Louis, where they say that the rumors of fentanyl-looking candy turning up in your kid's Halloween bag are not founded. Local spokeswoman Andre Swanson says authorities in California did find some candy-looking multicolored fentanyl pills, but that was probably a trick just to get it past security, border security. And she says drug dealers would not go out of business if they gave away the pills that are at least $5 a piece in Halloween bags. She does say check your kid's candy thoroughly to make sure it's safe, and be on the lookout for chewables because there could be some marijuana chewables turn up.
October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Last month, Katie Couric, former anchor for CBS Evening News, went public with her early-stage breast cancer diagnosis. Today, Couric said it was an easy decision.
What I wanted to do by going public with this was to help women understand that if they're among the 45% of women with dense breasts from 40 and up, they need to, find out, because it's only indicated on a mammogram, and then they need to talk to their doctor about follow-up screening.
The First Mid-Bank and Trust Business Desk low water levels have impacted commerce along the Mississippi in recent weeks. AccuWeather senior meteorologist Paul Pastelok doesn't see much improvement in the near future.
It's not until probably January that we'll see substantial precipitation that could start to really wind down the river problems on the Mississippi River, especially the mid to upper part. But, this is not the time of the year for recovery. It's more in the spring and summer that we usually see, good rises in the river. It's going to be a slow process is what I'm trying to get at.
Pastelok, a guest on Total Information AM. The Dow from Stifel up 279 points. A crash 141 southbound past Crossing Drive. It's on the right shoulder. They're cleaning up debris. 64 eastbound at the Missouri River. The right lane is closed there. And a crash 67 northbound past Route C. It is on the right shoulder. The KMOX forecast.
Sunshine keeping control of our weather. High pressure with us, cool temperatures. And thanks to that high, the winds are going to be light. 62 tonight. A few clouds, cold. Let's think mid-50s for any evening plans. 38 for the low. Friday, partly to mostly sunny. The winds stay light, 62. The weekend, Saturday, partly sunny. I'm going to keep the chance of a sprinkle Saturday afternoon, but I'm really not concerned about it. 65. But there will be light rain showers around Saturday night and during the day on Sunday. I'm meteorologist Dave Murray for the Voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
Sunny skies and 58 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Carol Daniel, KMOX News.
The show, sponsored by Straight Realty, your St. Louis area experts. Why pay more than 4? 314-441-4444.
All right, 105 on the show. Chris Ranji, Amy Mark scores, Kevin Wheeler with you here. Halloween right around the corner. Raj, you and I are both ghost show guys.
Love them.
I'm into the paranormal stuff. I watch these things on a regular basis. Sometimes I get into them and then I go away and then I come back, but it's something that's a regular part of my viewing habits. I'm assuming yours, but I know mine pick up at this time of year because I'm going to add the movies into the mix and all of that, which is why I'm happy that we have Steve Shippey with us. Coming up tomorrow night, there's going to be the debut of the shock doc Ghosts of Flight 401. So it's going to premiere on Discovery and Discovery Plus. That'll be tomorrow night. And of course, it's going to be on Travel Channel as well. Steve, first of all, thanks for doing this, man. We really appreciate you. I know you're very busy in the lead up to all of this, but I'm sure you're glad to finally be getting this out there for everybody to check it out.
Yeah, absolutely correct. Thank you so much for having me. Very excited for people to finally see this documentary.
I am a huge Ghost Adventures guy, so anything like this, I'm on board with. What is this particular documentary? What is this one? How is it different than some of the others?
Well, it's different on so many different levels. I mean, number one, I've never investigated a tragedy of this nature. This plane crash, I mean, 101 souls lost their lives that night. It made, headline news all around the world, and literally it did change the face of aviation in many ways forever.
Steve, and I should have mentioned this in the beginning. In addition to producing documentaries and things along these lines, I mean, you are an investigator yourself. So in this case, we're talking about a flight that went down 50 years ago in the Florida Everglades. And as you mentioned, it's changed a lot of things since then, but it's also the subject of a lot of stories in that area.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the amount of sightings that have taken place out there in the Everglades where this plane went down, we're talking in the hundreds at this point. It's been 50 years, the 50th anniversary. It's made news around the world. There's been books written about this. There's been feature films created about this subject. And, it makes sense to me as an investigator, and I think probably to anybody that, where somebody lost their life to this caliber, 101 people, sure, it's very plausible that there would be paranormal activity taking place, certainly. But what's more is what's so chilling and bizarre about this case is shortly after the crash, they would be seeing apparitions of the deceased pilots of Flight 401 on other planes in mid-flight. Passengers would see this, and the crew would see this.
Oh, so I mean, okay, that's a little. Yeah. All right. How do you come upon this story then? I mean, well, like what is the first thing that attracted it to you, or did somebody suggest it to you? Like, how do you decide this is the one you're going to chase down?
Well, there's lots of different, factors. Sometimes it's something that I, bring to Travel Channel and say, this is something I would really like to investigate. And sometimes they would say, hey, we're really looking for somebody to investigate this. Are you interested? That's how it turned out to be in this case. And this is something I've been reading about and studying for a long time. So I was basically elated to be able to have the opportunity. And the one thing that, again, always compelled me is, why were spirits seen on other planes in mid-flight? And to me, the answer was quite shocking. So after the crash of Flight 401, Eastern Airlines decided to take some of the parts that were still intact, that were very expensive, that didn't seem to be harmed in any way. They tested it, of course, and decided to repurpose these parts on different planes. And these were the planes that then had the activity.
I mean, that's obviously we're all looking at each other like with mouths open, like what in the hell on two levels. I mean, right. First of all, if you don't really buy into ghosts and all that, it's still scary as hell that parts that were involved in a plane crash are being repurposed. Now, keep in mind, it's 1972, probably, hopefully not the kind of thing that they would do now. But on every level, that's shocking.
Every level, that's shocking. Because you kind of think, first of all, my first thought was, wow, I mean, is that allowed? I mean, can you do that? Should you do that? And the fact that this activity was seen, and you got to think about this too. I mean, the passengers literally saw this to the point where on one flight in particular, somebody went into hysterics. They couldn't calm her down. They had to land immediately, get her off the plane. She was taken away via ambulance. I mean, that's how vivid these sightings were. And of course, some of the stewardesses recognized immediately that it was one of the captains of Flight 401. And, people are putting their job on the line. Could you imagine being a commercial pilot and literally making an incident report saying, I saw a ghost?
Yeah.
It's crazy. Now, I come at this, Steve, as kind of I would say the skeptic that's open to believing anything. I do watch a lot of shows along these lines because it's a fascinating topic to me. But I do know that some people listening aren't as goofy about these things as Ranj and I are, and we watch these types of shows a lot. Explain how that would work with that connection to those parts being reused and about how that could lead to it. And also, I'm sorry, I meant to follow up on this too, but like, are we talking about multiple people on some of those flights seeing things at the same time? Or different time, like one person at a time in different places? I know that may be a complex answer, and if the answer is it's in the show, that's a good answer too.
No, actually, both happened. So there was, one incident that took place where they were in mid-flight. A woman was sitting in her seat, and she all of a sudden saw something next to her move, and she looked, and where there was an empty seat, there was now a man sitting there that was semi-translucent. She began screaming right away. Everybody took note. Everybody saw it. The stewardess saw it. Everybody on the plane saw it. So that's one instance. Another instance is that another one of the members of the crew of Flight 401 was seen multiple times haunting one of the planes, and people would see them and see him and have their own experiences, whether they were in the galley getting things ready, or somebody was in this part of the plane working on something. They would have isolated incidents. So actually both have taken place.
So you're talking about attachment, like maybe people, and that's a theory, is that spirits will attach themselves to not just people but objects. So like maybe the plane parts is what we're talking about.
100%. Yeah, basically, and that's what we call that is a spiritual attachment. Object attachment is basically what that is, where we hands down believe that energy can be transmitted, for lack of a better word, into an object, whether somebody had an attachment with that possession, that it meant something to them, or that it was present when a tragedy or a death took place. I guess I digress. This could go in many different directions, but you can actually curse an item, which is another way that an entity or something supernatural can be attached to an object. But yes, it does happen.
Steve Shippey is with us again, a documentary film producer, paranormal investigator. And tomorrow night, I've got the debut of Shock Doc. This is the Ghosts of Flight 401. And again, a fantasy. It's a fantastic story in that there's a lot going on. And I know you've investigated a lot of different types of stories over the years, Steve. How does this one compare in terms of scope? I mean, we've talked about a number of sightings on flights that obviously didn't involve that actual airliner. But how does this in scope compare to some other things that you've looked into?
In scope, this one definitely is right at the top in terms of how vast this case is, how many things are there to consider, how many eyewitnesses, how many people passed. The more we dug into this case, the more rocks we kicked over, the more we kind of dug down to find out some answers, the more that we would find, which would just continue leading us down this wormhole. And not to, spoil anything, but I will say that as we really dug deep, come to find out that wasn't the only plane that went down in almost that exact same coordinate. And the more that we learned, and the more that we learned about it, and then even something else that took place, we started to really wonder, could there be something more about that location?
Okay, so that's not a spoiler. That's a tease.
Yeah, I can't wait. Yeah, that's going to be great. So I know are you based in Michigan, right? Because I know you've done some investigating in the Midwest.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm based out of Saginaw, Michigan.
Okay.
I've done 10 documentary films out of this area. And then, of course, with my show on Travel Channel, Hunting in the Heartland, I've kind of done your Midwest in that section.
Have you done anything in this area, in the St. Louis area? I know that across the river, there's a little town called There's a town called Alton, and it's not that little.
It's not that little.
It's like the size of my hometown. And there are a lot of locations in Alton that apparently are haunted. Have you done anything? And there's the Lemp Mansion here in St. Louis. Are you familiar with any of the haunted locations here?
Yeah, I'm familiar with the Lemp Mansion. I'm familiar with your neighboring communities as well. Kansas City, certain areas there, also Stall, Kansas. There's a lot of lore about that place as well. So I'm familiar with a lot of the different urban legends around that area.
Is there something in the Midwest? And again, you've done a lot in Michigan and Saginaw. Is there one in this region of the country that really fascinates you?
There's a few. I mean, one of them is a case I've been working on actually for many years. It's Dice Road. We call it the Dice Road Corridor in Saginaw County. That's, here in the Midwest, that's pretty fascinating. But I will say, I have been around the country investigating as a whole. And to me, there is something about the Midwest that's just a little bit different. It's kind of hard to explain that, it's paranormal activity is all around us, but and all over the world for that matter, but there is something about the Midwest. I can't quite pinpoint it.
Do you take volunteers that also happen to work on the radio that might want to come out and, see what's going on?
Oh, yeah. I've done it before, actually.
I mean, we'll carry gear and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we've done it. We've definitely done it several times, actually.
Yeah, you can
We're
lock
gonna
me
hit
in
you
a
up then.
closet if you want to, a dark closet, and just tell me to sit there with the recorder. I'll do whatever you want me to do.
I'll take the ghost box.
Okay. I
All
mean,
right.
you know,
Oh,
you
this is
guys are
perfect.
offering, so
Yes, I'm serious. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm kidding, but also
I'm not.
I would do it in a
hey, you
heartbeat.
guys got great barbecue down there. I'll head down there and we can
Dude.
do some investigating.
Listen,
That's
so
perfect.
we'll hit you up with a DM. We'll figure out a place because there's also a haunted prison in Missouri that is a place where you can go.
Oh, I
and
might
stay
draw the line
night.
there.
Oh, I'm in.
Okay, I
you
might
can go
go.
and stay the
I'm in.
night and do all kinds of cool things there. So maybe we can work on the next one with you.
Absolutely.
All right. So tomorrow night, though, the debut of Shock Doc's Ghost of Flight 401 is debuting on Travel Channel at 7 o'clock Central Time. It's also streaming on Discovery Plus as well. That's going to debut tomorrow night in advance of Halloween. And by the way, if you want to follow Steve, you can find him on Twitter at The Real Prozac. You just spell it out the way that you would think, Prozak. And you can follow Steve's work there. And then when we go out on a case, do we call it a case? When we go out on a case with you, then you can follow us there too.
Absolutely. I'm ready to rock.
Steve,
let's go.
We appreciate you doing this, man. Have fun with this debuting tomorrow, and we'll look forward to trying to catch up with you down the road, and then helping out on one of the episodes that'll be upcoming.
All right. The sooner the better. I'm going to hold you guys to that.
Yeah, I'm in.
Definitely. And Steve, thanks so much. That's Steve Shippey, documentary film producer, paranormal investigator. And again, his show that's debuting tomorrow night is Shock Doc Ghosts of Flight 401. It's debuting on Travel Channel, 7 o'clock, and on Discovery Plus all day streaming.
I'm ready.
Dude, I'm serious.
I'm in.
I've got
Yeah.
I've got the Twitter profile up. We've got the contacts. We're going to send it. I would totally do that.
I'm in.
I don't know what to expect. I'm in that agnostic category. I don't know what's going on. I don't have a strong take, yes or no, but I would love to be in the middle of finding out. How about you, Ranj? Are you a believer?
Let's go. Yeah, I think so. There's some stuff that's a little questionable. So I think that I'm in. You know, like how would that happen? There can't be any other explanation.
But I'm with you. If they're like, we need somebody to do this thing that's going to be really scary, I'm in. I'll do it.
Listen,
I'll go in the scary hallway.
Look, I can't wait to go do a thing with Steve. Like I've been following Zach Bagans and the Ghost Adventures guys.
Yes,
Look,
you have.
If Steve will invite me, then fine. He's in. Zach's out.
Listen, talking about the paranormal,
What?
I would just be happy with a paranormal co-host.
That's actually the best one you've ever done. Normally, I just cringe when Amy does it. That's actually brilliant.
God, I hate
and
her
you've been
so
thinking.
much.
You've been thinking about that for 15
Kevin,
minutes.
since 107,
Yeah.
I've been holding that in.
I hate her
We
so
got
much.
a text a minute ago that said, "Want to lose Amy's attention? Talk about baseball or ghosts." Amy, are you going to come with us when we go?
No.
She's just the absolute worst.
Paranormal co-host. That's all I
That
want,
was-
buddy.
I mean, I'm going to tell you what, that was good.
Thanks, Kevin.
Well done.
I appreciate you.
All right.
Like you know what she is? She's one of those speaking of baseball, she's one of those 150 hitters, but has like 40 home runs.
No, like 4.
Strikes out
But
a
they were in
million. Strikes out a million times. Yeah, you're right. It's more like 4.
The
The,
Dave
ones they
Kingman.
hit, like they're 500 footers. Like, how do they do that?
The Dave Kingman of the show, Amy
Yeah.
Mark scores.
Who is Dave Kingman?
God, just go to break.
Stick around.
It's KMOX. Goodbye. We're coming back soon.
You know what? You know who are my good friends? The folks at STL Fenceworks. They have been with me since the very beginning, and I really appreciate that. And I'm proud to work with STL Fenceworks because they do extraordinary work and they stand behind their craftsmanship. So much so that they have a lifetime warranty that surpasses anything else in the industry. That's right. STL Fenceworks, they are family owned and operated and locally owned and operated, as they have been for over 50 years. And I love that when you're working with STL Fenceworks, you're working with a company, as I said, that's owned by a family. It's locally owned right here in the St. Louis area. And they are the #1 fence and deck contractor in the state of Missouri. That's important because they've been able to leverage that position to make sure that they have all of the materials and supplies on hand right now, ready to go to build your next dream project, whether that's a fence or a deck to make your backyard leisure space dreams come true. And again, they can do so in a timely manner because they have the supplies and materials, and they can continue to keep their costs low and pass the savings on to you. Visit them today at stlfenceworks.com.
For everything online, it's Odyssey.com. Download the Odyssey app and listen to KMOX for all the news, sports, talk, and podcasts that move you. Odyssey, that's AUDACY.
Men suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE, regardless of age or past medical history, you'll see instant results on your first visit at Paramount Men's Medical Center. And for a limited time, your initial consultation and first treatment are totally free. Call now, 314-720-8081.
You had a solid retirement dream, sell your home in a few years, bank the equity, downsize and travel, but inflation and recession has you wondering if all your hard-earned equity will still be there. What if you could recession-proof your equity right now? You can with Truehold. Truehold will buy your home for its best current value before a recession can erode it. You get to bank all the cash now and live in your home for as long as you want. And Truehold covers all property taxes, insurance, repairs, and maintenance. And since Truehold pays your home's current value in cash now, it's yours to do whatever you like. Don't wait for inflation, recession, and interest rates to erode your home's value. Visit Truehold.com and discover how much Truehold will buy your home for today based on its best current value, not what's coming. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit Truehold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out on your home's value without having to move. That's Truehold.com.
Spark Co-working St. Louis is a new collaborative workspace located within the PwC Pennant Building in Ballpark Village. The Spark Co-working community supports the thriving St. Louis entrepreneurial ecosystem, where you can live, work, and watch the Cardinals play all within one district. The all-inclusive workspace includes furnished month-to-month offices and suites with stadiums, city, and arch views, concierge mail service, nitro cold brew coffee on tap, and so much more. Call 314-278-5297 or visit spark-stl.com.
It's easy to think all money managers are pretty much the same, but at Fisher Investments, we're clearly different.
Different? How? You sell high commission investment products, right?
No, Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission-based investment products.
Well, you must earn commissions on trades.
Nope, never at Fisher. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in our client's best interest. It's the highest standard of care for a financial advisor.
How do you know what's in their best interest?
We get to know our clients and then tailor a portfolio based on their goals and needs.
But you probably sneak in some hidden and layered fees.
No, we have one transparent management fee structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, you really do look out for your clients.
That's because our top priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. It might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investments and securities involve the risk of loss.
Connect with KMOX on air, online, 11:20 a.m., 98.7 FM, KMOX.com.
All right, Raj, what was that thread you were just looking at? On the Twitter that may no longer exist now that Elon's in charge?
So, like, nobody knows what's going to happen with Twitter. It might really, really suck after this. I know people think
will be nothing.
I don't know, unless he might let in a bunch of Nazis or something.
Nah.
Who knows? Because, hey, it's free. But he did
once
say
it's bad for business, he's going to stop doing it.
He did say that just recently, and I think it was today, he said it can't be an absolute free for all. So I guess there are some restrictions that he believes in. But there is a thread from NBC News' Ben Collins, and he just last night said, and he, jokingly, he said, "Okay, everybody, it's 0 hour for this website. Post your favorite tweets and give them a little kiss goodbye." Because some people think that all the tweets are getting purged, I guess, which I don't think is going to happen. But anyway, this is up to like 11,000 retweets, and there are so many. Like, here's the thing about Twitter. It can be really, really bad. It could be a very bad place. There could be an unbelievable amount of idiots, but there's also some really funny stuff.
Oh my God.
And,
like
and some of it, like you said, it's hard to read off Twitter. Like when you see it on Twitter, you laugh out loud, but it's hard
like
to.
You just did, like I did in the text line. Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. So like some of these tweets are just great. And I probably should have logged some of these. And here's one of them. I don't know. Is this funny? I can't read this one.
Is it bad?
It's about Kanye.
Oh, yeah. Don't do that.
I don't know. It's from a few years ago. All right. I think I love
anything with Kanye's name scares me.
Okay, so it's a tweet from Ye from 2018, and he says, "I will never make a diss record." And the person responds, says, "I didn't know Kanye was Italian. I will never make a diss record."
Oh my God.
How ridiculous is that?
Oh my God.
Right?
Oh. Okay. In the words of Elon, let that sink in.
We
But,
are all
Oh my
over-
God, that's so stupid,
Amy,
by
you're
the way.
looking for puns
yeah.
for your
well,
Halloween costume.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. So
yes.
Elon walked into Twitter
Yes.
headquarters carrying a sink. Why, you ask? Because that way he could tweet, let that sink in.
What a- you know what?
He's such
Hey.
the worst.
What a genius.
He's such the worst.
He's one of the smartest men in the world right there because he came up with let that sink in.
Yeah.
He's so ridiculous.
Why does he even care about anything? If you're that wealthy,
I
why
don't
would you
get
even
it.
care about anything? Just have fun all the
I
time.
don't get it.
Ugh. Anyway,
Go be a
that's enough of him.
trillionaire somewhere.
St. Louis County Executive Sam Page and Republican challenger Mark Mantovani will meet on Tuesday, November 1st in a live debate. In partnership with Fox 2 and KPLR 11, KMOX will simulcast the only St. Louis County executive debate. Watch it live on KPLR at 7 p.m., listen to it live on KMOX and streaming on KMOX.com. Campaign 2022 coverage from the Voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
What's more American than baseball, apple pie, and voting? I'm Missouri Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft. Voting is our right and our responsibility. On Election Day, November 8th, if you're registered, you can vote by showing a valid photo ID or casting a provisional ballot. Before you vote, research the issues and the candidates. Missouri has accessible, secure, accurate elections. Make your voice heard and vote.
Sponsored by Missouri Secretary of State, sos.mo.gov.
Hello, this is Chad Clayman with ClaymanGroup.com, KLAMEN Group.com, 314-946-9999. We buy houses direct. If you're thinking about selling, you're not sure where you're going to go, you can sign a contract with us. We are the buyer, and we can provide a flexible closing date for you. Once we've written a contract, we can actually adjust the closing date if you need to move it up or you need to move it back. A lot of people aren't sure where they're going to move next, and we can make it easy on you. ClaymanGroup.com, 314-946-9999, 946, all nines.
Procrastination. We've all been there. But have you been dragging your feet when it comes to creating your retirement plan? I've heard it all from, I have time before I need to make a decision, or I'll eliminate debt first and then get ready for retirement. I've seen far too many people waste valuable time for their retirement planning, and I don't want you to be one of them. Hi, I'm Ken Heisey with Heisey Advisory Group. I'm on a mission to help people recognize the potential destructive impact procrastination can have on their retirement plan. Don't procrastinate. Call us today at 314-328-4400 to ensure you get on the right path toward your retirement dream. That's 314-328-4400, 314-328-4400.
Heisey Advisory Group provides insurance services. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
At 1:30, we have sunny skies and 58 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Carol Daniel. Lawyer Gloria Allred has released what she says is a photo of Herschel Walker in a hotel room supplied by the second woman to accuse him of pressuring her into having and paying for an abortion. A day after the woman came forward, Walker getting support from Senator Lindsey Graham, who blames Hollywood for the accusations.
They're afraid of Herschel Walker. Because if Herschel Walker wins, that means we're not racist. And if you're a Republican, aren't you being tired of being called a racist all the time by everybody?
In Hawaii, officials are warning residents of the Big Island to prepare for the possibility that the world's largest active volcano may erupt, given a recent spike in earthquakes at the summit of Mauna Loa. Scientists don't expect the volcano to erupt imminently, but officials are reminding people that lava could reach some homes in just a few hours when it does. Missouri American Water alerting customers in parts of South St. Louis County that the water might taste earthy or metallic. They say it's due to recent rain. It should be returned to normal by Sunday. They are trying to minimize the taste, but assure KMOX there's no health risk. They're cleaning up debris 64 westbound before Forest Park. The right lane is closed there. There's a stalled vehicle 70 eastbound at Salisbury. It's on the right shoulder. And watch for a stall 70 eastbound on the ramp from Goodfellow Boulevard. Be prepared to stop. The KMOX forecast, clear to partly cloudy tonight, overnight low of 43 degrees, a partly sunny day Friday, the high 65. Some sunshine giving way to clouds Saturday, the high 68. Some rain is likely on Sunday. Right now it's sunny and 58 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Carol Daniel, KMOX News.
Are you concerned about higher taxes, soaring inflation, and what's next for the stock market? Don't miss Your Retirement Professors this Saturday afternoon at 1 on St. Louis's News Radio, KMOX.
Driven by the Bomarito Automotive Group, the voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
KMOX with the St. Louis Odyssey stations will once again partner with you to raise funds for SSM Health Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital through the Tree of Hope program. With your help and the help of our sponsors, we have raised over $170,000 over the past 2 years. If you own a business and would be interested in donating or partnering with us on this year's campaign, please sign up at KMOX.com/Cardinal Glennon or text HOPE to 20357.
Your home of the Cardinals.
Arenado swings and hits it deep to left field. That ball is out of here.
The Billikens.
Jumper. Yes! Billikens win!
The Chiefs.
Touchdown! Kansas City!
We are America's sports voice, KMOX.
All right, it's 1:33 on the show. Chris Franchi, Amy Marks scores, Kevin Wheeler with you here. And we're joined by Chris Hayes, investigative reporter for Fox 2. First of all, Chris, welcome to the show. We appreciate you coming on today. How are you?
Thank you. Great.
I know we talking about something that's not exactly a light story. It's certainly the opposite of that. You know you're going to be following up with a news story today. A story you've been following since the summer, right? A 6-year-old child that drowned at summer camp. And I know that these stories are important to tell, and they're sometimes difficult to tell, but I know you got more coming up on that tonight.
This has been extremely tough. I mean, a 6-year-old who was very excited about this summer camp. This was something he loved. It was called Camp Kennedy. He was in his first week, and, you know, no kid should drown at summer camp. And then we've been learning through our investigations that summer camps are not held to the same standard as childcare facilities. So there is not any licensing. There's no license to threaten by regulators for doing things wrong. And then we've continued to find problems, including what we're going to reveal tonight regarding one lifeguard that should have been there that was not, and that they had the pool open anyway, and some missing life-saving equipment. It's just extraordinary and heartbreaking.
And you mentioned that these summer camps aren't regulated in the same way that daycares are regulated. Are there some regulations in place, or is it a little bit more of a free-for-all than one would expect?
It is absolutely a Wild West. Totally up to the daycare, totally up to the summer camp. I've talked to daycare operators who have been astounded by this. In fact, in one of my previous investigations, a daycare operator said that she saw a summer camp in which there were 40 children being walked down a major highway with one supervisor, and that there was nothing she could do about it because it was an unlicensed pop-up summer camp. And then there was another one where she was at one of these trampoline parks, and there were dozens of kids with one person watching them. And she said, you know, I had to even leave that situation because I could see nothing but bad coming down the pike. So there's no guarantee that there are background checks. You can't get basic questions answered in terms of how many supervisors per how many children like you could at a licensed child care facility, and on and on. And then what we've found tonight is just extraordinary. I'm going to show you a report that really shines a light on exactly what happened that day that should not have happened.
So why is it like this? Why are they unable to regulate this better?
That's a great question that I've been trying to follow up on. And I know that there is a local representative that's also now interested in this topic. In fact, the state of Missouri broadened the exemption for summer camps just this year, broadening it to include day camps. Now, why summer camps are exempt, that is something that only the legislatures know in their minds why they have decided to exempt summer camps. Maybe because they are sometimes one-day programs or one-week programs. But if you send your child to a licensed childcare facility, and they happen to run a summer camp, they're held to that standard. I think parents should at least know the difference.
So what times can we expect to see the reports tonight, Chris?
Tonight on Fox 2 News at 10, I'm going to show you why we know that they were short a lifeguard, what the missing life-saving equipment was. And again, it's heartbreaking, but you have to see it because you have to see what was lacking so that next time that won't be lacking, hopefully. Or as a parent, you could ask, is this at my facility where I'm taking my child? You know, this hopefully will be empowering to people. I know the parents of TJ Mister, the 6-year-old who drowned, so desperately want people to know all of this as they continue seeking answers.
Chris, thank you for the update. We'll look forward to the story tonight in the 10 o'clock news. Thanks so much, and we'll look forward to talking again soon.
Thank you.
You got it. That's Chris Hayes from Fox 2. That story tonight in the 10 o'clock news. That's all unbelievable to me. All of it. The rules are so lax. I mean, as a parent, I can't even imagine that. And as a parent, I wouldn't even know that I would think to investigate that in advance.
That was my question is, I wonder what, and I'm sure Chris will go over this in his story. What is the recourse a parent has to look at a summer camp that they may be interested in signing their child up for the summer? You're thinking, oh, it's art or it's a hiking outdoors camp, whatever it may be. You would hope that camp would have some credentials or say, hey, I know because it is the Wild West of summer camps that they're going to voluntarily list all of their accreditations that they may or may not have or licensing, any credibility that they would have on their website.
Be interesting to see what he finds and see that report coming up later on tonight. By the way, if you want to follow Chris on this story and others, at Chris Hayes TV on Twitter. Chris Ranji, Amy Marks, scores, Kevin Wheeler back on the show in just a moment here on KMOX.
Charlie Brennan sees clearly thanks to Dr. Birdie and Malhotra. You can too. Go to youridoc.com today or call 314-966-5000.
Hi, this is Steve Butts at the Crawford Butts Insurance Agency. This year marks our 60th anniversary serving our clients and friends, a tribute to our founder and my dad, Norbert Butts. As your local independent insurance agency, we've been proud to represent many fine carriers such as Safeco, Travelers, and Progressive. So please give us a call for all your insurance needs. 314-752-2500 or CrawfordButts.com.
Hey guys, Glover here with my friends at ThrottleNet. These are the genius IT guys I've been representing for years and years now. We are number one all the time. Best in customer service from Small Business Monthly. Best in cybersecurity, again, Small Business Monthly. We have an average response time. I love this statistic. The average response time in St. Louis in 2020 by IT companies. You have a problem, you reach out to them, hey, I'm all shut down, help me, was 3 hours. If you got back within 3 hours, you were cool. Ours was 1 minute, 57 seconds, and the guys were very unhappy with that. It takes less than 2 minutes for us to address your problems. Here's a huge thing. We are now offering $500,000 in ransom protection to everyone who uses us. This is part of the deal. You don't pay extra for it. So if you happen to be hit, and you have to pay, we're going to pay it up to $500,000. Now, this shows you how confident we are because no one under our protection has ever had to pay. Go to throttlenet.com/DGS.
If you own a house in St. Louis and you want to sell it as is without any inspections or the need to make any repairs, call Chris Buys Homes St. Louis at 314-328-8000 or at chrisbuyshomes.louis.com and get your cash offer without any obligations, commissions, banks, or headaches. Chris buys vacant houses, inherited houses, fixer-uppers, beautiful houses, even the tenant won't pay the rent apartment. Google Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis. That's Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis and check out the best reviews from satisfied customers. When you sell to Chris, you decide when you want to move according to your schedule and your terms. Go to chrisbuyshomesinstlouis.com Google Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis or call 314-328-8000. That's 314-328-8000. Call Chris and get the offer you've been waiting for. Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis.com. That's Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis.com or call 314-328-8000.
The show, sponsored by Straight Realty, your St. Louis area experts. Why pay more than 4? 314-441-4444. More Amy, more Kevin, more Chris. What is this weird show? The Show on KMOX.
All right, back in on the show, Dave Glover Show coming up after the 2 o'clock news here on KMOX. Chris Ronji, Amy Mark Scores, and Kevin Wheeler with you here. Amy, you asked a question last night with a story, and I had a reaction that was kind of a, I can't believe people didn't know this, but apparently there are things that people didn't know.
Yeah, but okay, this comes down to the quality because let me just say this, ladies and gentlemen, especially for our people who have ever had a window in their house. The frosted windows, not all frosted windows are equal. Why am I saying this? Well, the Today Show featured a woman who had frosted windows in their shower. You know how a lot of showers will have a window actually in the shower, not just the bathroom, and it's super frosted so that you can't see anything. Well, a few weeks ago, she went to go get the mail, and the bathroom window, the light was on, and she realized, well, wow, I feel like I can kind of, that light's brighter than I thought it would be through the frosted window. So she had her husband go upstairs and stand in the shower.
It was pretty funny, but he didn't just stand there.
Yeah, he pretended to shower.
He put on a funny show.
He put on a show, and she could see everything. It was the shadow. It was the shadowy outline. So she wasn't seeing like his shirt color or his skin color or his hair. She was seeing the outline,
the silhouette.
But the silhouette was so clear that like you could see when he held up his hand, all 5 fingers. You could see it. So she, anyway, she was a little bit horrified. And the thing is, guys, this has happened to me.
Oh, no.
I don't live there anymore. But when I did live at this apartment for 2 years,
please don't go looking for Amy.
God.
There was a
If you're listening.
frosted window in the shower, and I assumed that it was frosted enough that it would blur heavily, significantly blur any type of shadow that could potentially be seen through the frosted window, until I was outside and I looked up and my neighbor was showering and I could clearly see his entire shower.
Yeah. So
wait. So this was like a floor to ceiling window?
Sorry. No, I mean his entire, I could see like when he picked up the shampoo, and I could tell like, okay, he's washing his hair, and then like, oh, there's a piece of soap. Oh, there's a razor.
Oh.
Like you could see
everything.
Okay. It was the
but
silhouette.
like from, like I said, like a shelf, like chest high. Like what are we talking about?
I would say it was waist
high and up.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
That's still not good.
That's how the one was.
What if he got long legs?
Ugh.
That's exactly right. And
Thank God I'm short.
Yeah. All I know is the silhouette was like way too clear for comfort, because I thought it would, of course, you're going to see kind of a dark spot where the shadow is, right? That makes sense.
You expect it to be translucent, not transparent. And the window.
Well, it's not transparent. If it was transparent, you would see it like through a
Well, the window is it's closer to transparent than translucent. We're talking about the window in this story specifically. Like, I mean, you could. I don't know if you can make out facial expressions, but it'd be pretty close.
How when
it's a shadow.
You do but it's like a puppet show. You know, like when you hold out your hand and you do the puppet show with your hand, and you do the dog and all of that.
Yeah.
That's a little bit too clear. I don't want those lines being that sharp.
Well, I think the takeaway from this is, don't assume that your frosted window to your bathroom is hiding anything. It's frosted enough. So get a little curtain.
Yeah.
They make them. They make curtains for that.
Yeah,
You shouldn't. If I pick up a razor in the shower,
you shouldn't be able to tell it's a razor.
You should not be able to tell it's a razor. You shouldn't be able to see that.
Because if you could tell it's a razor, then you could tell other things are other things. You know.
I don't disagree with any of that, but also my assumption would be, if I can see light through it, I'm going to check it.
Yeah, I just assumed the frosted window guy knew what he was doing.
Well,
I mean, it should be that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. Maybe this is probably. I mean, you guys. How many times have you guys moved? A lot. like place to
I
place?
have.
A couple
I have,
times.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like, I think the more I've moved, the more I've thought of all of those things. Because I think I've
Yeah.
moved 9 or 10 times over the years, from apartments to, to houses to like I'm just jumping around. And I think that the more I've done that, the more I've asked all those questions. Like, oh, wait a minute, hold on. And that one specifically hasn't come up to me, but like it just when I first saw this story, I'm like, okay, but light can get through there. I mean, shadows are. Maybe you would want to look.
I don't think I've ever lived in an apartment or a place that I can remember that the bathroom had one of those windows.
Mhm.
But I have showered at friends' places or whatever that I've always just trusted it. I've never thought about it like, it's
That's
fine,
different. That's a
probably.
different thing because you're at somebody else's house. It's not yours. You're not thinking about it all the time.
Right. Like, so, just recently even I was in one and I'm like, oh, that looks, I don't know. I thought that's it's probably fine. It seemed like it was a little too open, but then I thought, these people who put these in know what they're doing. They know that they know and this is a renovated place, so these people know. It's all right.
So
Nobody can see me out there.
Yeah, I'm always surprised by the window placement in different bathrooms. And I guess the biggest thing is just close the shades. But have you ever gone to a friend's house and the bathroom's like the window in the bathroom is at a really weird spot, sometimes like directly next to the toilet and a little bit lower than you would expect.
Of
next
course.
to the toilet. Is it just if I walk into that bathroom, am I assuming that everyone is closing the shades before they use the bathroom and then reopening them? Or do some people just go into that bathroom without closing the
They
shades?
probably just go in. But I think it's convenient for being able to keep an eye on the neighborhood at all times.
Yeah.
From
You gotta
the
be aware
comfort
of trouble.
Some people tweet when they're doing that. Other people look out the window and make sure the neighborhood's fine.
I mean, boy, I'm thinking about the scenario that if nobody can see anything that's untoward, then I'm not going to worry
But
about
I
it.
think they can see things that are untoward.
Well, it depends on where the window is, right? If the window
right
is
next to the toilet.
right, but if it's neck high or
not
chest
neck
high,
high.
I mean, is it toilet high?
It is
Toilet high.
It is in the business
I
district.
have never seen one in the business district before.
Oh, I've seen two.
I've
I'm thinking
seen
of two.
one.
One was at my aunt and uncle's house.
Whoa.
Yeah, I've seen one in the no man's land where it's like probably up to
Yeah.
up to your chest level,
Right,
like,
right, that-
so you can look out.
And the thing is,
Yeah.
like, maybe when you finally get to the sitting process, you're below the window, but there's a lot that goes on above that level.
There's no question about it.
I know.
But I wonder how many people are listening, going, "Oh gosh, I should probably
Yeah.
take
Check your
a second
frosted
look at
windows.
check your frosted windows in your bathroom because it may not be as frosted as you think."
Yeah, I would agree with all that. But I'm just surprised that was my first reaction. Like if I'm buying that, I would want to look at that like day one. Is that a thing?
And especially if it's a new house.
And I will say this,
Well,
maybe
I
that's
would
because
think,
I've lived with my wife for 30 years and she pays attention to details. like
yeah,
that.
See, good
Generally
for
speaking,
her.
I would be like you. I would be like,
Yeah,
they
it's
put it
fine.
up. It's probably
They
fine.
know what they're doing.
Right. But the influence that my wife has had on me is like, maybe you want to look at that.
I would be thinking that if it's a new place, especially, I'd
Mm-hmm.
be thinking that, oh, this is some new frosted glass technology
Okay.
that's so good
Right.
that you think, this can't be hiding anything, but then it is, but then it's not.
We need to talk to Michael Kelly because he has a thing with his windows. And I've not seen this. I've not seen it yet, but he said he can press a button and his windows go from clear to
Oh, yeah. That's
frosted.
so cool. I want
That's
that.
how you know things are going really well for a person.
I know. That tells you what kind of.
Michael Kelly is doing
It's
great.
good to be
tells you how
Michael
he
Kelly.
rolls.
Yeah.
Does he
Now,
push
is that
a
at
button?
home or the office?
It's where he lives.
Oh, that's
It's where
even
he
cooler.
lives. He's got a smart house or home or whatever it is. He has a smart home and he's talked about it and it's what he wanted. Wherever he can talk to everything in his home and it just does things.
Well, we have to ask him about this tomorrow because that means he's being spied on.
Yeah.
And he's a political guy. I mean,
Well, but the frosted windows. So I want to make sure. Did he check to make sure there's extra frosting on those windows?
extra
So you know
frosting's
who's
always good.
You know who's spying on him?
John
Alexa?
Hancock.
Hancock.
Yeah,
John
John
Hancock,
Hancock.
because
Oh.
they're opponents
Yeah.
a
So
lot
all
of
this
times.
snooker thing is just a cover.
You
Yeah.
know what?
It's the long.
This is like a sleeping with the enemy type thing.
Hancock has gotten Michael Kelly into
Oh.
snooker so he can spy on him.
So we can snooker him.
Oh my
Oh.
God.
Yeah.
That Hancock he's
Okay.
craftier than I thought.
More window questions because I know this is probably the most riveting thing anyone's going to talk about today. Do you know in the old apartments how they have the glass cubes and they're stacked
Yeah,
together
yeah,
to
yeah,
make
yeah.
glass cube windows?
But you can't see anything through those.
Yeah, I hope not, right?
No,
because
no.
that's like
The light is deflecting. You're not going to. I mean,
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
you would see a vague shadow, but that's probably
So I
about
think
it.
that's what I thought the frosted windows. I thought they would be
Oh, no.
as obfuscate the image as much as the glass cubes.
The more light you can see through, the more the shadow is going to be obvious. So if you can see a lot of light through it, then there's going to be a shadow.
I used to work at this place. I was an intern. Not here. I had a different internship before this intern. It was whatever. So I got this office. And there was no window to the outside because the office was inside the floor plan. You know what I mean? Like in the center.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a window to the outside hallway. Okay, that was it. But the window was those block cubes.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like getting up early.
What?
I don't know if you know this.
I am shocked, but I am also the same.
So I would go into that office and I would sit in this really comfortable office chair at the computer, and I'd put my hand up on the desk where the mouse is, and I'd lean back and I would take a nap.
What?
And I know that nobody could see me through those block glass. Yeah. And then the only person who would ever come in and visit me would be my one boss. And as soon as the door would open, I would startle myself awake.
You'd be like,
and I'd be like, I look like I'm really working here because my hand's on the desk on the mouse.
And somehow
And
you
I
managed
pulled this off for months.
to put in the same amount of effort in this show.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't do anything for you two.
There's no faking of anything. Straight up front with it.
It was the best, though.
Where is that internship again? I'm kidding.
It doesn't matter.
You don't have to answer. It's just a joke.
Where was it? What was the name of this place? I can't remember the name of it.
Oh, you may have heard of
It's an
this
agency.
This little town called
A little
Alton.
town called Alton.
That was pretty awesome.
Hold on a second. How?
Like all of a sudden he went into like Old West Ranch,
Yeah.
in a little town,
Little town.
just east of the Mississippi.
The Alton population
Yeah.
is, what do you think it is?
Ooh, I'm gonna feel terrible. I'm gonna say
7.
I was gonna say
No,
50
I'm not-
to 70,000.
I don't know. All I know is it's a big number, and then Andrew is there too, right?
It
Okay.
it is 25,000.
Oh wow, it's not as big as I thought.
422.
What's Granite City? Because you
I think it's 22,000.
Oh, so not a bad comparison
Yeah.
when you said that.
So pretty close.
Still wouldn't call that a little town.
No, I don't know why I said that.
It was pretty funny though.
Oh no, wait, this says Granite City's 27,000.
Huh.
Oh, okay, whatever. I thought it was 22. But anyway,
You win.
I thought, yeah, let's go Granite.
Yeah.
I honest to God, I really thought it was bigger than that, but whatever. So, yeah, but I did take naps at work, and naps are okay at work. It depends on where you
Kevin
work.
stepped away from the microphone. So anybody who's in West County right now, if you understand the 270 divide, guys, this is a St. Louis thing.
What are you talking about?
If you live east of 270, you don't go west of 270. And everyone who lives west of 270 knows exactly what I'm talking about.
That is not true.
That is true.
I don't
Do it
know how
every
we
day.
I don't know how we got here, but that is not true.
Yeah, we took a left turn.
We did.
No, we were
Well,
talking about little towns, and I was just thinking
Oh,
of how
little
we called
towns.
Alton a little
Okay,
town,
okay,
and I'm
okay.
like, if you live east of 270, there's a divide on the 270 line, and there's a very they look down on those who live west of 270.
no, they don't.
You-
That's a stereotype.
That's a stereotype.
Yes, it is. I peddle in stereotypes apparently.
And stereotypes and platitudes. It's your whole thing. I don't.
Amy's gonna create the platiotype.
The platiotype.
I don't have any I love the people out west of 270.
You're
I
pretty
just
mean
don't.
to me.
Well, I don't like. You're different. I just don't like crossing two rivers. That's my.
Oh, sure.
I have
where,
a rule.
Where do you have to go to cross two rivers?
Well, I
St.
guess this was
Charles.
more. Yeah, St. Charles.
There's one river.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm already past
It's
the
the
one
Missouri
river.
River.
Yeah, but I used to when I was in Illinois. I'd have to.
So you're
go over two
complaining
rivers.
about being in Granite City and having to drive to St. Charles. How many times did that drive happen?
Oh, like a million probably. Had a million of those. We did get a text message about the window thing from a 618. My parents' house has a window right in front of the toilet
Uh-huh.
from below the bowl to above 6
Yes.
feet. That is what?
That's
like,
a huge window.
That is a large window.
why do you need a window that big in your bathroom? To keep an eye on the neighborhood. That's why.
Yeah.
Well, if you're gonna, yeah, right. If you don't want to get the problems with the neighbors, you want to keep an eye on, make sure they're not,
That would be
encroaching
super
on your property.
intimidating if someone were sitting on a toilet in front of that window and then you're walking down the street and that guy's just
Oh.
glaring at you. Whoa, that's
I
intimidating.
think if you're if you're in the if you're gonna make a bathroom like that, The toilet should be on the opposite side of the window, facing directly
know.
out the window so you can look out.
Do you guys know about this thing? I don't know if it's anywhere else, but it's kind of a thing, I think, in Wisconsin or Milwaukee where there's just a toilet in the middle of the basement.
Oh, yeah. It's called a Pittsburgh toilet.
Pittsburgh toilet. What's up with that? I guess
Yeah,
they probably
I-
do that in Pittsburgh too then.
Yeah, I forgot the reasoning for it.
It's
like
just out in the basement, just out in the open.
It's in the basement, right in the middle. No walls,
I
no.
did not know about that.
I don't remember the reason for it.
Have you guys stayed at a hotel room while you're looking that up? A hotel room that does not have floor to ceiling walls between the bathroom and the bedroom? I have. It's awful.
Wait.
It's just like a half wall between the bathroom and the bedroom. So if you're in the bedroom, you're looking into the bathroom. So anybody showering or going to the bathroom doesn't have any privacy.
I do not believe I've ever seen that.
I stayed in a hotel like that in Sydney, Australia. It was not great because I had a roommate.
Maybe it's an Australian thing.
I don't know.
Just asking.
But it's difficult with a roommate.
I think we solved a lot of problems.
I think so
today.
too. A lot of home
on the
home
show.
improvement problems. Just check your windows, people. Check your windows. Dave Glover Show next on KMOX.
Everyone here knows Diamonds Direct is the place to go for the best diamonds at the best prices. But did you know that savvy buyers from all over America, even Los Angeles and New York, now come here to buy their diamonds? These high-end shoppers have discovered that